Hi, I'm Stephen Weber, and you're watching The Claw's Corner because Rich Sear is a sick bastard. Welcome to the latest episode of The Claw's Corner. Today's guest is a director, writer, producer, actor, editor, and fight coordinator. His movies include Friday the 13th, Vengeance 2, Bloodlines, The Fall of Camp Blood, Roseblood, a Friday the 13th fan film, Reflections, Project Chameleon, For Bobby, Red Swan, Lockdown, and Vengeance. Please welcome the man also known as the Mad Cuban. Of course, I'm talking about the great Peter Anthony. Peter, how are you?
Good. What an introduction, man. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. It's good seeing you again. I saw you at the double feature.
Yeah, the double feature we're talking about for the people watching was at the Strand Theater. Larry Dwyer puts on a movie, a pair of movies every 2 months. Every 2 months. And 2 months ago in January, it was Friday the 13th, Vengeance, and what was the other one?
It was Vengeance 2 and Roseblood.
Yes. So we're gonna get into both of them. They were both great. First time I ever saw them. And it was funny because the minute the first one was over, I said, I got a friend, Peter. I want to talk to him. I want him to be on my show. I realized that we were already friends.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know. I must have
met
met
you. Horror Fest?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I saw you there too, I think.
Yep. I definitely have seen you there. And after we started talking, I remembered I met you there. And also, we have several mutual friends we're going to talk about. One is Mark Wither. Yeah. And also Joe McGee, which you starred in some of his movies. He's a former guest of The Claw's Corner. He's been for great guy, both of them. And I know Mark acts in his movies, and Joe writes, directs, produces, basically same as you, like all his movies.
Yeah. Mark was a producer for Roseblood.
Oh, he was? All right. Yeah, he's a great guy. I've known him for years. And it was funny because in the middle of the second movie, he goes, we took a picture of you stabbing me. It's a heartwarming picture. It's going to be my Christmas card to everybody. But Mark posted like, oh, it's good to see two of my friends becoming friends. And I said, oh, you know him too? And I realized I saw him in the credits. So, very small world.
Yeah, and I'm a gangster with him in For Bobby.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, he's actually wearing my chain and I think my glasses in that scene. Yeah, I forgot. Something like that. Yeah.
I want to talk about we're going to get to For Bobby and some of the other movies you did with Joe McGee of McGee Productions. But before we do that, I want to start with a Facebook post that I saw because we've been friends on Facebook. And something I saw recently said, looking for a dance choreographer for a major motion picture. Can we talk about that?
Yeah. So my next film coming out is called Laugh. And that one is not a fan film. We're trying to go right to the movie theaters, trying to get distribution, international, national. So that one I can't get too crazy into, but it's like my baby, you know. So I wrote it, produced it. I'll be co-directing it because I'm actually in it. So the scenes that I'm in it, I need a director. And I need a co-director anyways. So this is like a big project of ours. We're gonna shoot 3 days for the trailer in November 4th, 5th, and 6th in Connecticut, in Wallingford.
Wow.
So and then we're gonna take that trailer and then shop it out to investors to try to get the funds we need to go to the movie theater stuff. So we're looking for like $250,000 to like $500,000 to do that. But we think we have a really good script, and we already got some people on board that are big names, but I'm trying to hold that off so that when I do the IMDb and when I do the site, I keep the excitement going and stuff like that. But one of them is a Golden Globe winner. Another one's a multiple Oscar time nominee. So I'm trying to like, all we did was lose money for fan films, which is what you do, right? Yeah. But you learn the process, you learn the craft, you learn the people, and now it's like, okay, can we step it up to this level now?
Hey, definitely. Well, I can honestly say, doing my research on you, I saw the poster for Laugh, and you caught my interest. I said, I cannot wait to see this movie. I cannot wait to talk about it. So what I'm going to have to do, since we can't really talk about it now, you're going to have to come back. You have to be you're also a current and a future guest.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that'll be an honor to come back once like we announce everybody and the trailer comes out and stuff like that. That'd be awesome.
All right. I want to talk about the two movies that we talked about that I saw at the Strand. One was Roseblood. It's a Friday the 13th fan film. So I'm sure most of my viewers already know, but I had a recent guest on. It's not released yet, but it'll probably be released by the time this is. Michael Levy. He's part of the Terrifier movies, but he did a couple of the Michael Myers fan club movies.
Yeah.
fan film movies. So basically, you're a fan of Friday the 13th, obviously, because you do such a great job of actually. I got to tell you this, and God's honest truth. Growing up, I was more of a Michael Myers guy. Like
Yes.
I love the Jason movies, but watching your movies and then doing my research on you makes me want to go back and rewatch all the Friday the 13th movies because you put so much work, so much blood and guts and passion into these movies. I said, I forgot how much I like the Jason movies.
Yeah, thanks, man. That means a lot. Yeah, because Vengeance and Vengeance 2 is after part 6, 30 years after 6, and then part 7 is two different timelines. It's right after part 7 and then today's date, so 34 years after 7. So I'm glad that you like them.
Yeah. And here's what I loved about that one, because it's completely different from any of the others. I mean, in this one, there's no drugs, no campers, no sex, and no lake.
No nudity.
No nudity, yes.
Yeah. Well, he comes out of the lake.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, but I know what you're saying. And that is kind of why I like 7 too, because it was so different. People are like, oh, you got to put like weed in there and you got to have people having sex. And you should, I'm like, no, I'm going to tell the story. I don't need to do any of that. If it was part of the story, I guess, but I don't need it, Yeah.
Well, that's the reason all those Scream movies came out, because they were making fun of those movies, saying, all right, well, the one who's promiscuous dies, the one who does drugs does this. I mean, so they were basically saying how all these movies had rules, and there should be one rule. There are no rules, and I love that. I love a good movie.
Glad you said that. I love that too. Yeah, and I grew up loving all that stuff with the nudity and the horror and all that stuff. I just that 7 story, it doesn't really fit in it, and so to continue it wouldn't make sense to add it in just to add it.
Yeah. And what I love about your movie is it has that great 80s feels. I'm a huge fan of the 70s and 80s movies. And your movie brought me right back to being 15 years old, watching Friday the 13th, the original ones on the screen. So you did as I mentioned before, a phenomenal job. And I recommend to all my viewers watching this right now, just go out and see all the movies. Anything that has Peter Anthony's name attached to it, get them all.
Thank you, man. Yeah, did you see I had the Magic 8 Ball and the little time machine and some of the stuff, because I'll be 47, so I grew up in that era where the early 80s I was growing up.
Yeah, and I'm 54, so I'm a little bit older. So I definitely was, like a young teenager at that time, using all that stuff, and it brought back some good memories, and it was fun to watch.
Yeah, thanks.
So as I mentioned in the intro, you're a writer, director, actor, producer, editor, fight coordinator. I mean, this is basically your Citizen Kane, your Orson Welles.
and Roseblood, right? Rosebud. Yeah.
I didn't even think of that. That's funny.
Yeah. It's like the most famous word in like movie history.
I know.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's because we have a low budget, so you got to like do everything yourself.
Where was this? Or if you don't mind me asking, how long did it take to film, and approximately did you had Indiegogo for this movie? Is that correct?
Roseblood, yeah, $52,000, and we filmed the whole thing in 8 days.
8 days.
Yeah. For a feature film, that's pretty. Certain days we had over 200 shots. Wow. So 200 shots. So let's say you had 3 different cameras, right? That's 3 shots, and then so 200 shots we had in one day.
So how many hours were you working? 16, 17-hour days?
Every day was 16, and then the last day was 21.
Wow.
So 7 16s in a row, and then a 21. I probably slept 15 hours within those 8 days. It was pretty crazy, dude. And nobody fought. Everyone got along. It was like a family set. It was great. Because I think my strength is my organization. So I'm super organized, and this is what we're gonna do. And okay, well, all the pictures on the wall are gonna be 11 by 17, so they'll all be in the same spot. So when we get to the next one, we just flip those for the next one. All the name tags were interchangeable. So like things that the rooms, we reshot the same rooms and then repainted one while we did another. Like we kind of were really efficient with what we did.
Yeah. Well, you definitely were. And I love the fact that everybody's working together, because you had some good names in that movie. I mean, I want to talk about 2 of them right now. First one is Lara Park Lincoln. For people who don't know, she was in Friday the 13th, Part 7, House 2, Freddy's Nightmares, Knots Landing. And that's just the part of her Wikipedia. And so the other one I want to talk about, and I'm really impressed by this one too. And it's funny because, as I mentioned, I just interviewed Michael Levy, and they said he's coming out with a movie called Stream, and he just hired him to be in this movie Stream. It's Terry Kaiser. Yeah. This guy if I wrote down everything, it would have taken 5 pages just to write down. So for my viewers, he plays Dr. Crew in Friday the 13th Part 8, but he was also Weekend at Bernie's 1 and 2, as well as classic television shows that I grew up watching, like Emergency, Barnaby Jones, Bionic Woman, All in the Family, Hawaii Five-0, Maude, WKRP in Cincinnati, One Day at a Time, Three's Company, etc., etc.,
Golden
etc.
Girls, the Golden Girls.
Oh yeah, how can I forget the Golden Girls?
Yeah.
So, first of all, how did you get these actors? Did you, when you were writing the movie, did you have these actors in mind and say, I want to write the script around them and try to go out and get them, or did you just write the characters and said, I think they would fit in this movie? I mean,
I didn't envision any of them, so I was just going to tell the story of young Tina, right, and not have the present day Tina. So that could be anybody, right?
yeah,
And then a friend of mine, when I went to Indiegogo, John Wood said, "Well, I can get you in touch with Lar if you wanted to try to get Lar." So originally, this movie was supposed to be a 20-minute short, and then I got in touch with Lar. And I'm like, well, I got a part for you. And she's like, well, what is it? I'm like, I haven't wrote it. So then I went back and wrote it. And when I wrote it, I had her going across from Dr. Cruz, Terry Kaiser. But when I wrote it, I had it so in my brain, the camera would only be from his like lower chest to his waist. So he'd be going by the table. So you never see him, which would make sense if it's in her mind, So, and then I'm like, that's how we get around not having him. And then after she read the script, she loved it so much. She's like, why don't we get Terry Kaiser? I'm like, what? We can get him. And then we got him. And then she's like, we can get Kevin, Nick, Kevin Spiritus. And then we got her old boyfriend, Nick, Kevin Spiritus, to be in the film, who's a 7-time Grammy Award winner now, by the way.
wow.
Yeah.
And I love the fact, as you said, there was no egos on the set. People were working 16, 17 hours a day. Everybody was getting along. That's great.
Yeah.
How long did it take you to write the script? I know it took 8 days to film, but to come up with the whole premise and the whole story in general, how long did it take?
Writing it took 3 days. But in my head before that, I always had the ideas of what I was going to do. But then you had to sell per certain parts, right? So you sold like this military guy, the fast team. So you sold these parts off in Indiegogo. So then you had to incorporate that in your head. But I don't know, it just came pretty easy. I'm such a huge fan of Friday 13th and Part 7. So that came pretty easy. But yeah, once you get in that zone of creativity, it's hard to get in the zone. But once you're in it, it's pretty easy. So that was like 3 days. Yeah.
Wow, that's very impressive.
Thanks.
The other movie I want to talk about that we saw was Vengeance 2 Bloodlines. And that one stars Tom Matthews, which I love. He played Freddy in Return of the Living Dead. He also was known as Tommy Jarvis in the Friday 13th franchise. So once again, how did you go and get him?
Well, that's Jason Brooks was the director of Friday 13th, Vengeance 2. So we always talked about getting him for Vengeance 1. But we couldn't get him for Vengeance 1. So then for Vengeance 2, Jason was like, we should get him. And Jason's like, he's at this con with me. We're like, go get him, dude. So he went over to him and like sold the idea to him, and then he got him. And we already got CJ from Part 1 before, who plays Elias, the father, and we had Tom McLaughlin, who's the director of Part 6. We have him in there as the gravekeeper. So, and we also had Steve Dash from Part 1, the sack Jason. So we got Steve Dash's grandson to play Part 2, to play the young son. But so we already had everybody that we just reached out to before. But Jason Brooks is the one who got Tom Matthews.
Well, I think it's very similar to what I do now. Like I go to a lot of the conventions. We're going to talk about that because I have some funny stories, and I know you do, about meeting people at conventions. But before we get there,
you going to Monster Mania?
Which one's? Where is that?
Next weekend, New Jersey, Cherry Hill, New Jersey.
Oh, no, I'm going to Chiller, which I always go to Chiller, and I used to go to Rock and Shock all the time. But
I used to go to Rock and Shock too.
I loved Rock and Shock, and it started off so great and so strong. They had so many great guests, and then by the last year, it was sort of like, oh, the key grip from Buffy or something like that. It was sad because.
Yeah.
But no, I did forget about that one. I'm going to check my schedule. I might see you there because I think I have that weekend off. So I'm going.
All the girls 1, 2, 3, and 5. It was 1 through 4 are going to be there in photo op too, and Undertaker's going to be there. A bunch of people.
All right. Well, I think I have to make it. But the reason I brought that up was that now that I go to conventions, I meet all the different people. And when I first started asking guests to be on the show, they're like, just give me your card or this and that. Contact this, get in touch with my agent. But now I'll say, well, I had Dee Wallace, I had Adrienne Barbeau. Oh, you had Adrienne Barbeau. Oh, I love Adrienne. I'll do your show. Or I had this guest, Max Gale from Barney Miller. Oh, really? So the reason I'm bringing that up is I think it's probably same with you. They can see your passion, they can see how much you love this, and you have these big people in your other movies. They're like, oh, really? He must be serious. I'm going to do his movie.
That's exactly what happened. So when I got Lar, I said, I'm like, listen, we're not just dudes with our iPhone in the backyard. I'm like, we've done Vengeance, we've done some stuff. Let me send you the movie. You could talk to CJ Graham and his wife Ruby, and you could talk to the Dash family, and you could talk to anybody. And then she went on and watched it. She's like, oh, okay, you guys aren't joking around. I'm like, no, we're taking it serious. So yeah, you're right. And it's funny you say that because that's what Terry says in the behind the scenes are coming out for Roseblood soon.
Okay.
And Terry and Kevin and Lar all said it was the passion that got them, because they want to believe in something like that. So I'm so animated and passionate about it. It kind of won them over, I guess.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I was reading the reviews on one of your movies, and people were saying anything that's Peter Anthony has his name attached to, I'm going to watch. This guy is the best, and people are just raving about you.
Oh, nice.
Like I said, it obviously shows. Not even through talking to you, like meeting you and having you on my show, but through your movies, how much of a diehard fan, all the different Easter eggs you put in there, all different references you put in there, that you know your stuff and you've loved this. Yeah. And I heard you say on stage at the Strain, I want to talk about this. You said you used to love watching Rhonda Up All Night.
Yeah. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
So USA was Rhonda Up All Night. And what's the gentleman that just passed away?
Gilbert.
Yeah, Gilbert Godfrey. Yep. I remember I actually have him do a shout out of Rosebud. I have a video of it. It's fun.
Oh, really?
He starts swearing in it because he swears and like crazy. So I have that. And then my parents' house, we didn't have TVs in that room back in the day. So there was a TV downstairs. So I would get up to go like pee, and then I would just sneak downstairs once I was up. And I'd go down like 11, 12 at night, and HBO would have stuff on. And then you'd get to watch it on there, But I tell people this all the time. I know you'll agree because you're, a little older than me. It's cool now to like horror. It's sexy now to like horror. Back in the day, nobody's parents were horror fans. So it wasn't cool. You're almost weird if you liked horror like that. So it was almost like a taboo thing to do, like an indulgence that you wanted. You know what I'm saying? So it was really in you if you liked it back then, where it wasn't just the cool thing now.
I got really lucky when my brothers and I were very young. I mean, when I was 7 years old, I saw Jaws 17 times in the theater. My father used to say, hey, do you want to go to school? Do you want to go see Jaws? So we ended up seeing my brothers and I, but my father introduced my brothers and I to so many different horror movies like Blood-Sucking Freaks, I Spit on Your Grave, the Phantasm franchise, Friday the 13th, Freddy Krueger, Evil Dead. So whenever my father would take my brothers and I to the theater, they would say, oh, I don't know if your kids could take it. It's too intense. My kids can handle it. Get them a ticket. And by the time I was 12 years old, I was jaded. I saw The Exorcist, probably I was 9 or 10 years old. It didn't bother me at all, and I'm being serious.
Wow.
We saw it at the drive-in.
The drive-in.
Yep. Oh, I loved it. So that's why I tell people all the time.
There's still one in Southington, right?
There's Southington. There's also the one in Mansfield. Southington shows more of the older movies, which I love. Those are the movies that you and I grew up watching and things like that. Mansfield shows more of the newer stuff, but I just love being outside, 75-degree night, popcorn, soda. Yeah, it brings me back to my youth.
Shitty sound. You had those metal holders, those old school microphones. They were so shitty. You had to lower your window down. Then as the years went on, you could then tune in your radio to it. Remember that?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Well, it's funny because at the Mansfield one, I actually used that a couple. I used to bring my boom box, and the batteries went. I'm like, going back to old school. Got the old speaker, which they still have. Put it at my window. It was hilarious. It's like you said, tin box. But back then, though, which people you'll probably remember part of this. The drive-ins didn't show the main features. They used to show movies that weren't ready for prime time. Like I saw movies like Grizzly there with Linda Day George, which I interviewed. She was such a great person to interview. But then they had like The Groove Tube, all these different movies that it started off with Night of the Living Dead, George Romero. That never made it to the indoor theaters. It was more of a drive-in feature that became a huge hit.
It was like Grindhouse films.
Yes.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. Yeah, but it's so cool. You ever see that picture in Texas, I think it is, where they play Jaws and you're sitting in the rafts in the water?
Yes.
Oh, dude, that would be sick.
I would love it. I got to tell you a funny story about that because when I saw it, the only scene that scared me was when Ben Gardner's head came out of the boat when Hooper went down. Yeah. And he saw the tooth. Every time it would go like this, I'd go, because I knew the music, more of John Williams' music would just get me. It would make me jump.
Yeah.
So my parents live in Dennisport. So they have a Jaws Fest. The movie was obviously filmed in Martha's Vineyard. I'm sure everybody knows that. I went to a Jaws Fest, and this woman came up to me. And I had a shirt of Hooper in the cage, and she goes, "Oh, I love that shirt." I'm like, "Oh, thanks." So we were talking, and she said, "They're like, all right, Chrissy, we have to get you to the front." I said, "Boy, it seems like you know people. I want to hang out with you." She goes, "Come on." So I get up in the front with her. I'm sitting next to the guy that played Sean Kittner or Alice Kittner. On the other side of me is Deputy Hendricks. I'm like, maybe she really does know people. So I started talking to her, hanging out with her, and she goes, "Yeah, let me give you a ride home," because I had to get back to the ferry, and after 9:30, I would be stuck on the island.
Right.
So I have no idea who this woman is. So she gives me a ride. I said, "Yeah, that sounds good to me." Well, actually, first of all, this is even funnier. I'm walking out, and somebody goes, "Hey, can I have your autograph?" I have no idea who they thought I was. But don't want to disappoint my fans. I signed like a big R and some squiggly lines. I have no idea who they're showing this autograph to. Like, I met the guy from Jaws. Which one? I don't know, but he was from Jaws. So when she gave me a ride, she goes, "I like you. You're funny. I want to keep in touch. What's your number?" "Here's my number." And she goes, "Do you know who I am?" I said, "No." She goes, "You know the guy that played Ben Gardner?" I said, "Yes." She goes, "That was my father." I said, "What?" She goes, "Yeah, that my father played the movie." I said, "Your father scared the shit out of me."
Yeah.
So it was
Alex
funny.
Kittner's real name is Voorhees.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, I forgot his first name, but his last name is Voorhees. Secondly, in that one shot, when Hooper, like when they first get the shark that's not the Jaws and they're wondering what it is, you ever see that shot in the background is the Amityville Horror House?
Oh,
Yeah, there's
I
a
didn't know
shot and
that.
the Amityville house is in the background there.
That's funny. I did not realize that. I got to
Yeah,
watch it for the 150th time.
yeah, that movie's so good, dude. So good. It's just
I
so
know.
people. It's like not even really a shark movie. It's just the shark. It just happens to be there. You know.
No, exactly. And everybody
Yeah.
knows the whole story is that because the shark wouldn't work, it made it even more suspenseful because he went the old Hitchcock way of like the less you see is more.
And wasn't he? Um. Oh my God, what's the captain's name?
I'm Captain Quint.
Quint. He was the third actor, right? They
Yeah.
didn't even want him. He was like second, third, fourth choice or something like
Yeah.
that.
Sterling Hayden was the first, and he didn't want to do it. And then there's something I forgot who the second was. Charlton Heston they wanted for Brody, but what happened with that was Spielberg said, "I don't want somebody that's more famous than the shark." He goes, "I
Right,
want somebody that's like less known."
which is true. I love the drawing from Quint on the board with the big shark eating the kid, with the big teeth and everything.
Yeah.
That was hysterical, dude.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's one movie that I mean it was made in '75, and a lot of times when you watch movies from that era, oh, it's so outdated now. It is
No,
not outdated at all.
no, because half of it is just the beach and water, which doesn't outdate itself.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. And the other thing too is the way they were dressed, just the simple shorts, simple stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't totally into like the crazy, 70s and stuff like that with the
Yeah.
attire at least.
He
But
wasn't wearing the polyester shirts and
yeah. It's a timeless movie.
yeah, yeah. Well, I can't wait from years from now. We're gonna be talking about when Peter Anthony made his Jaws.
Yeah, Laugh, man. I'm so excited about Laugh because I told the story to maybe like 5 people, and they're all like, "That's a phenomenal story," and I was like, "Really?" And because you always think it's a phenomenal story if you write it.
Yeah.
So, and they're like, "No, it's really good. It works," and this and that. And then I tell them to tear it apart, and because I tear it apart, so I'll do a scene, and then I'm like, "Why would that guy do that? Why wouldn't somebody come in? Why wouldn't the person run? Why would this then happen?" And I tear it all apart, and then come up with reasons why it all makes sense, like legitimately in the story. So it doesn't have a dumb, why, what's wrong, because people go online and find stuff wrong all the time. You ever see the great one is Forrest Gump when his mother dies and he's in front of the thing. He goes, "We buried you on a Tuesday," and someone looked at the date and went back. And it's not a Tuesday. It was
Really?
like Thursday or something like that. People are crazy like that.
People have way too much time on their hands.
Yeah, Neil deGrasse Tyson. You ever see that? He got with James Cameron and told him that the skyline at night when they were sinking with Titanic was the wrong skyline.
Oh
And
my
he's like,
God, really?
who cares, dude?
Exactly.
Yeah,
It's like I don't all I want to do is really be entertained. I really don't care about the details like if it's a Tuesday or a Thursday, if the skyline doesn't match.
yeah.
There's but the question I mean, I know we can't talk about, we're gonna talk about it when you come back next time, is a Laugh in the horror vein, psychological thriller, drama.
I'd give you some psychological thriller. So
Love those.
there's a few deaths in it, but nothing crazy. It's nothing. It's not like a Terrifier. You know what I'm saying? Which
Yeah.
kudos to Terrifier. It's phenomenal in its success and everything. I love those guys. I know them. Everything was phenomenal for them. It's more like the Joker, and it's more of a descent into madness. And
Yes.
because so my DP, who's a director, Cody Newton, taught me a lot. He's like, man, you did really good writing the first script, but on these scenes, you could do this. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, you want to show, not tell. You don't want to tell someone why someone's crazy. You want to show them why he's crazy. So I really took that to heart. And when I'm writing this one, everything is show, show, show. Less words, more facial expressions, more what's going on. And what he's doing is showing you instead of somebody narrating it for you.
Yep. And that's
Yeah.
why, I mean, I'm sure you know the whole story about The Shining and how Stephen King hated it. And Stanley Kubrick actually had to put a gag order. I'm saying, if you badmouth the movie anymore, I'm going to sue you. So shut up. I bought the rights to it. But I love that movie. I mean, his descent into madness, and it just builds and builds and builds the tension. And I know I don't agree with Stephen. I love Stephen King. I love his books, but I don't agree with the fact that he started off crazy. I think that it was a slow burn, a slow
Yeah.
build up into the madness, and I love those kind of movies.
Do you ever see the picture where his tie is the actual maze?
For what? Which one? Or
In
which
The
part?
Shining, when he's first like meeting the guy for the job.
Oh,
Go look at his green tie. His green tie is like a velvet tie. It looks like the maze. They like zoomed in on it.
it's funny. I did not
You know
even
that
realize that.
there's no power cords or outlets anywhere in that movie. Every single TV or light that's on, there's no cord, and it's not plugged in anywhere.
Wow.
It's like a
I know
dream state, he said. Yeah. And then
there's
the
a
other thing with
documentary
King,
in that
say again?
explains all the conspiracy theories and all the inner workings of Kubrick's mind, which I know that guy is so detailed.
Room 237.
Yes.
I saw it. Yeah. And then the other cool point is I didn't read the book, but in the beginning when they're driving and like there's the overshot of the woods and everything, they're driving, let's say, a red buggy or whatever they're driving, and Stephen King was pissed because it was supposed to be yellow or
Really?
something. So if you look this up, if you look at Misery, he takes their car that they drove and he crashes it in the accident that he gets into to like
No
say
way.
F you back to Kubrick, like you shouldn't have put it in the film because they hated each other for a while.
Well, I know.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because I interviewed Owen King. I met Joe Hill, his other son, but I did see Stephen King do a talk at the not the Warner Theater, it was the Palace, or what's the one in Hartford? The Bushnell. I saw him at the Bushnell, and he was talking about that. He said, you know what? It was one of my second novel. I think it was my second novel. The thing was so close to me. It was basically a biography on me. I was an alcoholic. He goes, I learned to get over it. He goes, I was just so close to it at the time. He goes,
But once you sell the rights, it is what it is.
Exactly. Yeah. So he has a sense of humor about it now, but back then, yeah, he hated Kubrick with a passion.
Yeah. Same thing with Natural Born Killers. That was a script that Quentin Tarantino wrote. He hates the whole the black and white scene with Rodney Dangerfield and all that. He said that's not in my script. He goes, they put it in there. He goes, I don't like it. You know,
I love it.
I love it too. Yeah.
Well, you know what's funny? Speaking of, because another movie that he wrote before he became popular was True Romance with Christian. Yeah, I love that movie. But I want to talk about this. I'm sure you already, since from the look on your face, you know what I'm going to say. You know the story with the ending. In Tarantino's story, he was going to die. He got shot in the eye. He goes, there's no way that he would live through that. But Roger Avery came in and rewrote the script because Tarantino said, I'm not going to rewrite it. I don't care. I want him to die.
Yeah. No, I never knew. I went to the Connecticut Cult Classics movie thing when they did True Romance, which was like 3-4 years ago.
Yep.
And I brought my dad. It was my favorite movie of all time. And I brought my dad and I bought the $150 box that has the napkin that says "You're so cool," that has his license that Gary Oldman finds, that has so much, has the record in it. I mean, dude. I'm gonna forget some, so you fill me in. So you got a movie that the first script ever was written by Quentin Tarantino. Mm-hmm. You have oh my god, who's the main actor who gets shot in the eye?
Oh my god, what's it? Christian? No,
Christian Slater.
Slater, yes. I was gonna say Christian Bale, but Christian Slater.
His consciousness is Elvis, who's played by Val Kilmer.
Yes.
His girlfriend is Patricia Arquette, and then you have James Gandolfini. You have Brad Pitt. You have Dennis Hopper. I mean, dude, just go down the line. There's literally 20 people in that film that are just A-list stars. That
Tom Sizemore
off today. What?
Tom Sizemore.
Gary Oldman. Sean Penn or Chris Penn.
Michael Penn. Chris Penn.
Chris Penn. The guy from Balky from Perfect Strangers.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Dude, that movie is so good, and that ending is just insane.
Yeah, no, I love it. That to me, that was just like you. It's one of my all-time favorite movies. And Gary Oldman is
Christopher Walken.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
When he killed that whole scene, which I don't think I'm giving any spoilers away, but the whole scene between he and Dennis Hopper is
Uh,
hilarious.
yeah, he tells the story. He goes, "You tell me, am I lying?" And that was,
Yeah.
and I love the whole mafia thing. Like they cut your hand, but then they throw you a towel because they feel bad. It's like cover it up. That was a great scene.
I just like I forgot what he said, but he was like, I love that guy. He just starts laughing, then boom. Just,
Yeah, I haven't killed anybody since 1981.
yeah,
Yeah.
no, that is such a great. And I mean, I agree with Tarantino, but I think that a lot of people would flip out over that ending, and that's why another ending, which I love in the movie, is Stephen King's The Mist.
No,
Okay,
best twist ending of all time.
I
You know
had
what sells that, if I may? People
what?
people are like, why is the ending so strong? I'm like, I'll tell you why the ending's so strong. That large monster that they show at the end, because you don't see the monsters at the end, you hear them, and that's what sells you into being scared. But when they stopped and they saw basically a monster as big as a mountain walking by, it sold you that the earth was over. It
Yeah,
sold you that the world was over. It was stepping and the car was bouncing every time. And then you heard the other screaming. And that's what sold you that, holy shit, everything's over. It's not just little spiders anymore. Everything's everywhere. And then hence what he does. I mean, in real life, that if that was real life, that guy and eventually kills himself or ends up in an insane asylum.
oh,
There's no way he
exactly,
goes
yeah,
on and lives a regular life, right?
yeah,
No way.
exactly.
Yeah, that was the best ending. I can't put another ending above it.
No, it's funny you say it because I said the same thing too. And it was funny when I first was walking to the theater, people were walking out like, F this, I can't effing believe that. They're going on and on. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? So I walk in there and I'm watching it. I stood up and I actually clapped. I said, this is the most honest,
Awesome.
brutal ending. I said, I loved it. And you know what's funny? Because if you read the short story, in the ending, Stephen King's book, it just basically, they were driving through the mist and it just kept on going on and on. It never ended. And even Stephen King says, "Boy, I'm not even that dark to come up with an ending like that." He
Yeah.
loved it.
And the way they show his son who was sleeping looking at him right before. And the crazy thing is he thinks he's being like a hero, like he's
Yeah,
sacrificing himself for them, but it turns out being the absolute worst move.
yeah.
You know? Yeah.
You and I are definitely on the same page with pretty much every movie so far.
I showed that to my mother. I'm like, Mom, watch this movie. And at the end, she's like, no, like everybody, I don't care if like you were mad or
Yep.
you were blown away. You had a reaction. There's no way you didn't have a reaction to that.
No, exactly. And I love. You know what's funny because I like a lot of the foreign movies as well. And it seems like U.S. is the only movies that have to end on a happy note where they walk away into the
Right.
sunset happily ever after. Most movies in foreign movies will end on a sour note, a sad note. Like I can't remember the name of the movie, but it's like what's the movie with Kiefer Sutherland where he finds his wife in the trunk. He's looking for her. He finds his wife in the trunk. That was I can't. I'll think of it later. But it's a remake. In the original movie, he finds his wife and she's dead. In the movie, I think it's Sandra Bullock and him. I could be wrong, but he finds her and then of course she's alive and he saves her. It's
Yep.
like they always have to have the happy ending because they're so worried that the audience is going to turn on them, which is sad because I heard people coming out of the mist and they were turning on the Frank Darabont.
Yeah. I love that. What was that movie came out from North Korea a couple years ago? Not
Oh,
in
Parasite. I love that
Parasite.
movie.
Dude, I love that because like it plays on like the human condition, how nothing's nice and everybody's bad, and like it didn't have a really happy ending either. And I love that movie.
Yeah. Well, that's funny because I saw the trailer for that movie and I was telling my wife at the time, I said, this is the perfect trailer, a teaser trailer. So what's a teaser trailer supposed to do? Tease you into wanting to see it. And when I'm looking, I said, I have zero clue what this is about, but I know I have to see it. And when I went in there, I actually came home that night and said, we're seeing it again tomorrow. That's how much I
Yeah,
loved it. It was
yeah.
so
Because
wacky and so crazy.
it's
And
like a book. Everybody gets their own different opinion on it when they read it. I agree that's how the teaser was. I thought something was attached to somebody, some kind of parasite. The people are humans are parasites.
yeah,
You know
yeah.
what I'm saying? I thought that was great. That was great.
I'm not sure if you saw this. There's another movie. I'm gonna trash her name, but she's a French director, June D. Corneau, I think, something to that effect. She came out with a movie last year called Titan, Titane. It's about this woman that gets pregnant by a car. I said it was at AMC. I said I got to see this, but believe it or not, I'm watching. I'm like, I can't stop looking away. This is great. So I. Did you live in Connecticut, right?
Wallingford.
Yeah. All right. So you probably know about Hampton Best Video.
Yeah.
I love that place. I have a $10 a month thing where I can get as many movies as I want. I still go there. I still rent movies. I love that place. So I looked her name up. I said, I gotta see if there's any other movies. She came out with a movie called Raw. I said, let me rent that. It's about this vegan. She's fed meat and she goes on a killing spree. It doesn't sound. I'm not even giving the movie justice. These movies are done so well, so artfully, and they're so like where you can't take your eyes off it. But yeah, I love movies like that where you're just like, what the hell is going on? I love this.
Mother. You ever see Mother?
Yes.
Yeah, it was crazy. They ripped the baby apart. I mean, that movie was nuts. Yeah.
So many great movies. Getting back to your movie, I want to talk about this for a second because you and I were talking about this at the Strand. I was mentioning that I interviewed Sarah Karloff, daughter of the great Boris Karloff. So I want to talk about the connection between, was it Roseblood and, oh, sorry, Vengeance 2 and Frankenstein?
Yeah. You mean because of the Tom Matthews part, or what part did you mean?
Well, I think you and I were talking about, and you did mention the Tom Matthews part, and there was because you said that he was a huge Frankenstein fan.
So in part 6, Tom Matthews, when you look at Tommy Jarvis on the phone, when I think he calls Megan, he's in front of a dealership which says Karloff's dealership or whatever. So Tom McLaughlin was a huge fan, so that's why he put him in there, and that's why he resurrected him with the lightning. So that's why in Vengeance 2, without giving things away, they wanted to end that story with the lightning.
Yeah.
So, so that I think that's what you're saying, right?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm getting. I don't want to give anything away. It was just I want to talk about the connection because Sarah, I don't know if you ever met her at the convention. She is such a great person. I'm not mad, but I interviewed Victoria Price. I interviewed Sarah Karloff. The only one I haven't interviewed yet is Bela Jr. I'm trying to get him on the show.
Did you get Rico Browning before he passed away?
No, I met him before. I met him at one of the Connecticut ones. I'm not sure if it was Connecticut Cult Classics, but he was at the Connecticut one years ago.
He was there. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he was a great guy. I love Creature from the Black Lagoon. I love all those Universal movies. Dracula.
How they shot that with that outfit underwater back then is so far ahead of its time. You know what I'm saying? And clear, and the guy didn't die in that stuff. And I mean, that is amazing, dude. That was so far ahead of it. And it's so weird because if there's this weird sexuality with females with that movie that like they almost love the Creature from the Black Lagoon because it's like a sexual thing because he's like stalking her, like a voyeurism thing from the water, right? You get that feel from people.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
it's like that movie, The Lady. Was it called The Lady in the Water that won an Oscar? It's something.
Oh yeah. She has sex with the alien, or whatever it is.
Yeah. So it's something similar where there is some kind of. And you know what I love too? I don't know if you were old enough for this, but there was a time when 7-Eleven would pass out the 3D glasses.
Yeah.
And they had so they had Creature from the Black Lagoon. I remember put the glass. You had the red and the blue.
It was shitty. Yeah. I saw Friday 13th 3D like that.
Oh
yeah, and they do the stupid tricks like the yo-yo and the stick. Remember,
would you like a pizza,
dude? Remember, besides 7-Eleven, I think they used to come like in the mail with the TV guide, and then they would be like, my mom would be like, "Hey, tonight at so and so's a 3D movie," and we would get our glasses and we'd all stand in front of the TV and watch it. Remember, and it was like so shitty, but we thought it was great.
Oh yeah, I loved it.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, those are simpler times then.
No, definitely, and I loved it. Like I look forward to that. I remember and it was so great because what year were the Creature from Black Lagoon movies made? In the 50s, I think.
50s, early 60s.
Yeah
50s.
So it's just the fact that they were able to do that kind of technology, or maybe that they updated it later on. I'm not sure how it worked, but it was good for its time. I mean, not the movie itself, but I mean the 3D was good for its time.
But to put the camera underwater, I mean, we had a shot in Vengeance underwater. It's a $10,000 apparatus that it protects the camera to put it underwater.
Yep.
You know what I know the camera's worth a lot more today than then, but still, I mean, they probably just rigged that themselves somehow. I can't even imagine there was a system for that back then.
Well, it's funny you say it because I'm sure you're a big Jaws fan, so you probably know this story. They had two orcas, one that was supposed to sink, one that wasn't supposed to sink. The one that was supposed to sink didn't sink. The one that wasn't supposed to sink sank. So there was a time when everybody was they were worried about the actors drowning, and somebody from the crew says, "Fuck the actors, save the film."
yeah. And that's what they talk about. Spielberg made it such a great film because the shark was supposed to be seen a lot more, and it wasn't. And that's what, and by the way, that's kind of how I wrote Roseblood, because you don't see Jason till like an hour, 55 minutes into the film. And that's how I wanted it to be. I wanted you to miss him. And then when he comes back, be full board crazy. So, and they call that the Jaws effect. That's where that came from.
Well, it definitely worked. And Roseblood, it definitely worked for the fans too, because I was doing my research. Where did you have 25 nominations and 16 wins?
Where?
Yeah. Because I saw that you won a lot of awards for this movie.
I can send you a thing. There's a picture of all of our things on one of the
Yeah,
posters. I can
but
send you, but there's tons of New Jersey HorrorCon. There's a million of them that went. Vengeance won um 60 awards. Vengeance 2,
60. Wow,
something like that, 50 or 60 awards.
that's amazing.
Insane. Yeah. So you apply to them and then they pick you and then they tell you if you're a finalist or not. So it was amazing.
Well, I saw
Falls
some of
Camp
the
Blood.
awards. No, sorry to interrupt you. I was going to say some of the awards I saw listed that you
Oh, yeah.
won were Best Feature Film, Best Picture, Best Producer, Best Actress, Best FX, Best Gore, Best Kills, Best Script. And that was
Yeah.
just what you listed.
Yeah. So it's amazing because the greatest thing about being, it sounds cliche, but being a director and producer and spending so much time and money, you don't even really care about yourself. Yeah, don't get me wrong. I'm not gonna lie and say it's not cool to get that stuff, but
Yeah.
to see that my special effects team won, to
Mhm.
see that my actress won, to see that I love that stuff. The fact that you created something from air and just made it into something that made people's lives better or made their career better. There's nothing better than that.
Yeah. Plus,
Yeah.
also, it's almost like being a manager where when your people look good, it makes you look good.
Right, right. Because you're automatically going to get the praise just because of what happened with them. Because they're going to watch the film and it's a good film and stuff. So
Yeah, it's like writer, director, editor of this award-winning film. So even if you didn't win an award for
yeah,
something, but your FX crew did or your actress did, like it's a
right.
reflection of you.
Did you ever see The Offer?
That one I don't know. I have to
It's
look.
on it's on Paramount right now. The
All right, I have to
Offer.
look that up.
It's a 12-part series. Listen to me, dude. It's a 12-part series on how The Godfather was made. It is. I have Sopranos. I never saw the drug one, but I have Lost. I have like all these best shows I've ever seen in my life up there. Right. It's got to be in the top three. The Offer. It's the true story on how they made The Godfather. Dude, it'll blow you away. Is the best acting, the best right. I don't know how they made the film. Like the mafia was trying to kill him. It was insane. But you have to watch that because the gratification I got is what he got, like you're saying, at the end when they went to the producer. Because especially back in the 70s, producer, nobody really cared who the producer was or anything. It's always about the actor and the director, and
Mhm.
the writer. And when they went to the awards and won 11 awards and how much it meant to him and stuff like that. So definitely watch The Offer.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. Now that you mention it, somebody else told me the same thing. They're like, "Oh, I don't have Paramount. I'm going to check it out though, because I'm going to find it somewhere because they did tell me not what you told me, but they said that it's a very good film. I forgot the name of it, but yeah, I know what you're talking about. So
It's
I'm
like
going
a
to check that out.
12-part series, I think it's 12 parts. So that's another thing too about series. People talk about films. Well, a film is, hour and a half. A 12-part series, you got 12 hours.
Yeah.
Like that's so much of a bigger production. People don't understand.
Yeah. Well, that's why I love I mean, I want to go to, you mentioned Lost. It's funny about Lost. I
Oh,
never saw the show when it came out. And a coworker of mine says, you have to watch it. I said, I'll get to it. So he actually gave me the box set. I ended up keeping it. Yeah, I kept them all. And it's funny. I got a chance to interview Daniel Roebuck 3 times.
yeah.
Yeah, he is such a
Hey
great
man, you
guy.
got a little Arnst on you. You got a little Arnst on you when he blew up from the Black Rock.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
dude, yeah, he's. I met Daniel Roebuck at PA HorrorCon last year, and he was like, "I got a big film coming out," which I didn't know was The Munsters.
Yeah. Have you checked that out yet?
I did. I hated it.
I'm afraid because I'm going to interview him again. I haven't watched it yet, but from what I can see, the only good thing about that movie is Daniel Roebuck. He does a great Grandpa Al.
Dude, not trying to lie, he's the best part of the film. I
Yeah,
don't know anybody that doesn't say that. Like he's
yeah,
the best part of it. It's just the take on it was a lot more comedic. It's weird. It's like The Munsters was a great show that delivered comedy. They tried to write it as a comedy. You know what I'm saying? And it didn't work the same.
yeah. For me, Rob Zombie's hit or miss because I do not like his version of the Halloween movies at all. I'm a huge fan of John Carpenter for one reason. I love his simplicity. Basically, he's the boogeyman. You can't kill him. That's all you need to know. Rob Zombie did this whole backstory. I really don't care why he is the way he is. I just like the fact that he is the boogeyman. And I did like Devil's Rejects, but I didn't like
Love it.
Lords of Salem. So there's a mixture of both. Like he's hit or miss for me.
Same here. I liked Rob Zombie one. I do get what you're saying though. I didn't like the white trash backstory. Is just like everything's white trash with him. It just gets over. It's redundant.
Yeah.
But I did like the story. If you're gonna do it different, he was still scary, still menacing. Everything. Rob Zombie 2 was atrocious.
Yes.
Atrocious. Lords of Salem was atrocious. But Devil's Reject was great. House of Thousand Corpses was great. 31 was okay. There's another like two of them where he started getting all weird, like with the ghosts and the white shadows and the white horse, like in Rob Zombie 2. And so
Yeah.
I agree with you. He's hit or miss on that stuff.
Yeah. All
And
right, so that's a perfect segue what I want to go into now then, because I'm sure you heard the rumors that he's interested in revamping the Friday 13th franchise. What do you think of that?
I don't know. I guess it's I guess it's a good thing for change, right?
Yeah,
Because if he's gonna make like a trilogy like that, because that's what they want. So right now, Halloween Ends is on right here on my TV. Halloween, follow me, right? Halloween 2018 comes out. I was never been more invigorated in a horror series in my life. I'm like, wow, okay, they're doing it right. This is great. It's gonna be great. And then Kills comes out, and you're like, what the hell was that hospital scene? It was very political. It was so stupid. They
yeah,
obviously didn't. He didn't look like he looked like the goddamn penguin from Batman 2. There's no way it's Michael. You know what I'm saying? And
yeah,
Evil dies tonight, and the woman had an iron hanging out in the street. You see that?
yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah,
so then you're like, okay, maybe they'll but he was kick ass in that. He was killer. He was definitely supernatural. And then you come out with Ends and you're like, they ruined it. Ends was so and I gave Ends a review of 6.5 because as a movie, if you can remove it from the franchise, it wasn't a bad movie. I thought the acting was good. It was a good movie. As a Michael film, it's the worst that's ever made, and as a Halloween film, it's one of the worst ever made. So that to me, that third installment ruined the whole new trilogy. So that's
yeah.
what I would be scared would happen there. It seems like impossible for them to put 3 in a row. That's great. Meanwhile, Marvel put together 21 in a row. That was great, you know?
I know, I know. You never
Yeah.
know. It's like I said, hit or miss. And the thing with the Munsters, I want to get back to that. I haven't seen it yet, but this is what I've heard. And what made the Munsters, the TV show, hilarious was that they're in normal setting and they're the weirdos. From what I heard, they start the movie in Transylvania where everybody's a weirdo, so it's not going to be
Correct.
even funny
That's what I'm
because
saying.
yeah,
So
okay,
there's no comedic value because everybody's weird.
yeah,
You know, they don't stand out in a grocery store. They don't stand out at the pool. Remember that episode back in the
oh
day?
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, they don't stand out anywhere, and it's just over. It's like you see the jokes coming, and yeah, I don't like it.
yeah. Okay. So well, I guess just like you, I'm sure you'll be there in the theater watching it, and then we're hoping for the best
But
because I know.
Wednesday, they kicked ass with Wednesday. I
Oh
don't know if you
yeah.
saw that.
Now, I didn't see it, but I know of it, and I've heard good things about that too.
Yeah, they did that one right.
Now, with this Indiegogo for Roseblood, did you offer any perks? Like, say, if people gave a certain amount of money, you could be getting a producer credit, you could have a cameo in the movie, you can get killed by Jason.
Yeah, a ton. That's basically the whole film. So besides like the DVDs, Blu-ray posters, we sold machetes, masks. Mark Wither was a producer. So the producer, you got your name in the credits, you got an IMDb credit, you got invited to the VIP stuff like that. We had the premiere in Brantford at the Woodwinds. And then the Fast Team members, most of them paid to be Fast Team members, the badass crew.
Yep.
So you paid for that, and then you had paid for to be a military, and then you paid for military speaking roles or to die on film. So yeah, I could have went out and got actors for all that, but A, it's good to get the money, and B, it's cool to put fans in it that love the series.
Well, you know what? Are you doing that for laugh right now? Because I will give you money tonight.
Yeah,
It's like get killed.
not
I don't
not
even know what
yet.
the story is, but
Yeah, not yet, but we're gonna do an Indiegogo. So after we do the 3 day trailer, then I'm gonna go live with the Indiegogo and live with getting the investor. But at that time, I will add those parts.
well, I will definitely now that I know what you're doing, I'm gonna keep an eye on what you're doing and when you're doing it because you're
Awesome.
like, hey Peter, it's Rich. How are you doing?
Remember me?
Do you
Yeah.
take checks? Do you take credit cards?
You take Bitcoin? Yeah.
I love it. Now, when you're making these fan films, are there limitations to where you can submit it for festivals?
No. Yeah, so they may not pick you, but no, there's no real limits to it. The only limits with making a fan film is you can't make over 50 grand for any 15 minutes, which nobody
Oh,
does that.
yeah.
You cannot make money on the film. And if you have any money left over, you give it to charity. So I think Vengeance One and Rosebud are the only people that ever gave to charity. And we didn't make any money. If I told you the numbers in the minuses, it would blow your head in. But you have to release it free online. So whether it's YouTube or whatever, you have to release the movie free online and not make any money. So therefore, you can't really profit off using the likeness of other people.
Yeah. No, I talk to a lot of independent directors and people who work on more low budget movies, and they sometimes have issues with permits of getting, and they'll just say, "Well, we'll film as long as we can before the cops come, then we take off." Did you ever have any issues with that?
No, because we shot at my producer's property.
Ah, okay.
So the lake he owns and the buildings he built on set. So I never had that problem, but I've heard that a million times. Let's hurry up and get this shot and get the hell out of here before somebody calls the cops, because permits would take so long and so much time and money. And then, you'd have to be, there's SAG and there's non-SAG too. So we're non-SAG right now. We're probably going to be SAG for Laugh, which once you're SAG, you got to follow like a whole nother set of rules.
That's what I heard because I've been part of the 48-hour film project, and I worked with
Yeah.
people that are part of SAG, and they said, "Oh, I can't be in this. I can only do this. It's like for 30, whatever. I don't know what the rules are, but there was a lot of restrictions of what they could do just with that 48-hour film fest.
Yeah, because they'll try to pull your Screen Actors card, your Screen
Yeah.
Actors Guild card, if you do something without being union.
Wow.
Just because they want their take. So, like, if I was going to pay you to do this part, and I'm like, I want $150 a day. Okay, fine. Well, the lowest you could pay a SAG actor a day, I think, is 1,100.
Wow.
So that's a big difference. Yeah,
Yeah.
a lot. So if you had 10 actors, that's 110 grand. Yeah.
So you're right now. You're not in SAG, or you are in SAG?
I'm not in SAG. I'm trying to figure out. We could be SAG eligible and then grab people. I don't know if I want to go SAG. It depends on how much it affects the distribution and the movie theaters. But some of them aren't. Like Terrifier's not SAG.
Yeah.
So and some of the other ones. She Came from the Woods.
Well,
Yeah,
I'm,
I just went to those guys premiere in Southington.
yeah, that's where I saw it too. I wanted to talk to you about. I was going to get to that. Let's talk about it now because I'm friends with Carson
Yeah,
Bloomquist, and I don't know Eric, but I'm friends with Carson. He's going to be on the show. I was just talking to him not too long ago. I'm a huge fan of their films, and I know I saw a post that you and I said I love this local filmmakers supporting each other. There's really no egos, no competition. You were there with your popcorn and your juju beads,
I was
having
with
a
my
good
niece.
time.
I told my niece, I said, "Hey, I want to go see this movie with these guys," because I met them at the Strand once.
Yeah.
Because Larry introduced us, and then I'm like, oh, I want to see this, and then I saw who was in it and everything, and oh man, I love the film. What a great job! I don't even know what their budget was, but
I
what a
don't
great
know.
job they did.
They do it. Have you watched any of their other work? Because there's another movie that he did. I can't remember the name of it, but I was introduced to him through another fan or another friend who was friends with them. I went home to do research so I can watch. I started watching their movies. I can't remember the name of it, but I felt bad because there's this one guy I said, this actor, man, whatever happened to him. Unfortunately, he has cancer and he ended up dying recently.
Oh,
But
that sucks.
he was so good in some of their movies. But yeah, I have not seen a bad movie from them at all. And I know they've done TV series, movies, dramas, horror movies. I mean, they've done a lot of different things.
I definitely Larry told me about a couple other ones, like two of them. He said that he played there, I think, once
Yeah,
at the theater. So I got to check those out for sure, because
yeah, no,
I was really impressed with, and especially their sound. That Tim Williams is their composer. I hit that guy up because I might use him for Laugh. I was like, wow, the sound design was great. You saw She Came from the Woods, right?
oh yeah, I
Yeah,
loved it.
I loved it. I thought the sound was so great in that.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned composers because recently I went to New Jersey. I went to go to New Jersey Symphony was doing the best of John Williams. He was my all-time favorite composer growing up. I mean, my brothers and I, one brother would buy Jaws, another one would buy Star Wars. I would buy Close Encounters. We just then go back and forth
He
listening
did
to them.
Indiana Jones too, right?
Yes, and
Yeah,
Superman, Indiana Jones. I mean,
yeah,
he's Harry Potter.
yeah.
He's the only one he's below for Oscar nominations. I think was Walt Disney. I think, yeah, Walt Disney. He has 53 Oscar nominations, 5 Oscar wins. The guy, I mean, all you have to do is hum 3 notes of any of his iconic
Yeah.
themes, and you know exactly. Oh wait, Superman. Oh wait, Jurassic Park. Wait a
Good
minute,
point.
isn't that E.T.?
Yeah. Someone said his next movie is his last.
Yeah, he just did The Fablemans, which
Yeah.
is basically Spielberg's biography. And I saw an interview with him, and he's 91 years old now. He's still touring, believe it or not. I tried to get tickets. He's doing with the Boston Pops, and it was sold out so quickly.
Yeah.
But they're making a new Indiana Jones, and Spielberg wants him. He goes, we can't do the movie without you. But he goes, at 91 years old, he goes, sometimes it takes a year to film. He goes, I don't know if I have a year. So he goes, but he goes, I cannot say no to Spielberg. We've been friends for 50 years, and whatever he asks me to do, I will do. He goes, if I'm alive, I'm going to do it. So
Yeah.
that's going to be his last one, he said.
Yeah. Either way, I mean, I didn't see The Fablemans, but I heard it was great.
Yeah. Well, the reason I brought that up was that there's a documentary called Score that it's all about the composers for movies, and it's so impressive just watching their process, watching how they. I mean, it'll take for you it takes 8 days to make a movie.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, like, after the movie's over, then they're like, all right, here's the rough footage, do something with it, and like they come back 10 days later and they're like, You see, it goes great. You like that. People don't realize. I love when people say, "Oh, classical music is boring." Watch a movie without music, and then you realize how important music is.
I saved so many scenes in Rosebud with music and or just sound effects or whatever. It's
Yeah.
very tough to not, to sell. Look at imagine Rocky with no music.
No, well, they
I
brought
mean,
him
my
up too.
God, you wouldn't give a shit. You're right. It's so big and prepping you for the right emotion.
Yep. Well, that's why I said too. It's like you're not scared from the movie. Mostly it's the music. You're not crying because of the movie. Most of the time it's from. I mean, the movie, the actors will do it in the direction and everything else, but the music is what really tugs at the
Jaws.
heartstrings. Yeah.
Jaws. I mean, you never even saw the shark. You just knew he was around because of the music. And then once in a while you saw a fin. I mean, his fear was sold on the music. And every time you heard the music, it was like Jason with, that with Harry Manfredini, who did the score for Roseblood, is the same thing. You heard that and you knew he was around.
Yeah.
That's so powerful. It's like being another actor.
Yeah. No, definitely. And you know what I love about the Jaws is that I was watching a behind the scenes recently because I was watching a documentary on John Williams, and they showed Spielberg saying, he goes, John Williams shows me this dun 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 dun. I'm like, okay, yeah, John. I thought you were just kidding. I thought you were going to show me some elaborate piece, some masterpiece. And he goes, no, no. He goes, the shark is primal. We're going to make it. And he goes, it freaking works. It works. So it's funny. Like he thought they were just kidding. But those two notes put so much fear into people where they didn't even want to go into the water.
Sometimes
Well,
simple is better. Kong 1978, when at the end all you hear is his heartbeat and then
yep.
it go away. Remember that how powerful was that?
Yeah.
You didn't
No,
need
I
to
know.
tell the audience, show, don't tell. You didn't need to tell him he was dying. You knew by the heart.
All right. So, a question for you, because when you're doing the movies, they were calling it spotting. So after the movie's over, they said they take the composer and they look. I want music here. I don't want music here. Do you do that with your composers?
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. And we did a bunch of our own too, 100%. And then the crazy thing is, and then I'll cut a scene, right? And then what work that is. So this is the scene, and we compose the sound to match to the millisecond, right? And
Yeah.
then I'm like, and he looks away for too long. I want to cut that half second of that film. Well, now you've got to go back in and take that whole score and rechange it because
Uh,
later on there was a thump or something that matched something else. You get it? So you have to rewrite it in a way. And that was because we used Harry Manfredini's, but there was a bunch we added in too, and that is so tedious and such a skill set. It just drives me crazy. But I am like a perfectionist, so like we would get the film and I would make 300 cuts, then I'd make 160 cuts, and then I would do 80 cuts, then 200 cuts, and then
wow.
and then I would say, okay, the guy gets slammed into the table, and then you're like, they're like, okay, that's the sound. Like, no, that's not the sound because there was forks on that table, and there was a cup, and there was a gun on the other end. Yeah, but you didn't hear it when we had the mic. I don't give a shit. You didn't hear it during the mic. You want to hear it as the fan. So that cup went flying that way, and then he stepped on glass, but he stepped on glass for 10 feet. So his second step is 90%. His third step, I want 80%. I want you to fade it out until it's about 20%. Then I don't want to hear anything. Like
Mhm.
just taking the sound and of one sound and moving that around is so much work. But I got compliments on the sound because to me it's everything. Because just because you don't see it or the mic doesn't pick it up doesn't mean it's not there. And I'll give you an example. Terry Kaiser told me he's friends with the composer for The Revenant. And they're
Mhm.
like, well, The Revenant, it's going to be so boring. There's no real music. There's not a lot going on. He's just in the woods. So the guy said, we're going to turn everything in the woods up to a 10. So if you go back and watch The Revenant, you can hear that river like it's in your right off your shoulder. You can hear the trees. You can hear the wind. That became like the sound of the movie. And that
Wow.
impacted me big when he told me that.
Yeah, no, I love it. So what you do is after you're done with the film, you take it and with the composer, you watch it on a screen, and then just does he come back maybe a day or two later and says, well, or do you do it like bits and pieces at a time?
You're supposed to finish the whole film
Yeah.
and then give it to him so
Well, I
that
know, but
he
I'm
can.
saying like, do you give him like bits and pieces of the film at a time?
No, no, he wants the whole thing. Now I have given him scenes before when we did what's called what's the word? Where he'll send you a music to a tempo music.
Yeah.
So he thinks, okay, this is what I think I'm going to go with, and you're like,
Mhm.
okay, that'll work here or that. So I have an idea, but usually he doesn't get it till the end because it's got to be exact. Like the door opens, there's the murderer, dun dun dun. You got to have it, exact. So usually at the end with them. Anyone else, bits and pieces, but the composer at the end.
Yeah, yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah.
So do you usually use it? I know you mentioned for your next movie who you want. Do you usually use the same composer? Have you used the same composer for the last couple of movies, or do you have different people?
All different, all
Yeah,
different, and hopefully we get like better and better as we go.
yeah,
And we get a little better at it too. But no, the Vengeance had Harry Manfredini. Vengeance 2, man, I forgot who Vengeance 2 was, but Fall of Camp Blood was somebody else, and then Harry Manfredini for Rosebud. But the next one will be somebody else.
All right. Well, I'm definitely looking forward to that. And it's, I want to talk about because you mentioned editing and all the different things you've done, writing, producing, directing, acting. I think editing to me would be the most difficult because you're so close to it. You love everything, and then you say, "Well, we got to scrap that. It's not part of this. It's gonna like ruin the flow of the film." Do you find that?
Yeah, so there's two scenes I had to take out with people that paid to be in the scenes
Oh,
that I had to take out, which was tough because it just didn't work and it didn't flow right and it just slowed the movie down so much.
yeah.
And then like you said, just the editing of time, like this guy turns and then 2 seconds, well, I don't like that, like just little micro cuts everywhere that I like to make to keep the pace going. And then other people think I'm insane. I'm like, I want you to cut a quarter second off the end right there, and they're like, what's the difference? I'm like, there's a difference. I can notice it just went a little too long and your mind came out of it, you know.
Yeah.
So, and a good friend of mine, Riley Lorden, who was worked on the movie, told me that his professor in college for movies told him that sound is everything. So he said when you watched ET, you watched it on 480, not
Mhm.
4K, not 2K, not 1080, not 720. You watched ET on 480, but the sound was so good that you didn't care because it was
Mhm.
that good. So that always stuck with me too. So I always wanted the sound to be right on.
Yeah,
So
no, well, I love the fact that you're a perfectionist because what some people might think like, who really cares? Who's going to notice? Some people will notice, like you mentioned, those people that are on, and I love the fact, and it may take a little bit longer, but you're going to have the effect that you want, and you're going to get it exactly how you want, and it takes a little bit longer. Who cares? I'm with you. I love the fact, like a half a second. Who cares? I care. This is
yeah,
my movie, and I want it to be, the way
you
I
see a
want it.
lot of the other movies, like the lower end movies, the sound is terrible. Like this is a sound touching your
Yep.
shirt. That's a cloth sound.
Hmm.
Like it just, so they'll grab somebody and you don't hear anything. And then he throws the guy and then you hear a table. I'm like, where's the grunt? Where's the clasp sound? And it's weird because you'll be in the story, but then your brain realizes there's no sound and it kind of takes you out of the story,
Yeah.
and you're not believable anymore in what you're trying to tell the audience anymore. You want the sound to be so good. It's like a referee in a fight. You don't want to notice them. You know
Hmm.
what I'm saying? That kind of thing.
Yep. Yeah. Well, you mentioned Riley Lorden. I want to talk about her or Riley because
Yep.
another film I saw was the Fall of Camp Blood, which she wrote and directed.
He,
Gr- He, I'm sorry.
it's all
Yeah,
right.
he directed, and it was such a great movie. I loved it. And
Thanks.
there was I saw that this was another credit I saw credited to you. Not only are you a writer, director, producer, actor, editor, but you were also the fight coordinator in this movie.
Yeah. And a fight coordinator in, I did one of the coordination between CJ Graham and Tom Matthews at the end of Vengeance 2 a little bit too.
Okay, okay.
We just didn't credit that. I didn't care. But I think there was photos on my Facebook. There's a video I did showing me doing that. But yeah, we did a fight coordination in the bar when I fight John Ivy. That guy's an MMA legend. He has 150 MMA fights.
Wow.
So yeah, we coordinated that. But yeah, so I got hurt during that. I had to have surgery.
Well, I was going to talk to you about that because shooting was halted for over 3 months, and that then leads right to what you were just saying. What happened?
You did your homework, man. You're good at this stuff.
Thank you. I
I
appreciate that.
Yeah, you did real good. So I had to swing a bottle and hit him over the head with it, right? Well, the breakaway bottles, if you grab them and go to swing, they'll just break off at the handle. So I had to take a real bottle, and the first two takes I have to swing a real bottle as hard as I can, and then hit the brakes like right next to his head, And then the next thing, well, my shoulders are messed up because I used to lift heavy and used to play football and fight and everything. So I went and swung the bottle, hit the brakes, and my shoulder just popped. And I was just looked at Riley and I'm like, dude, my shoulder's gone. And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, dude, it's wrecked. It's not even there. So if you look at the footage, when I throw Ivy, I don't even throw him. My right hand doesn't even move. And he goes flying through the table. I'll send you a video behind. So you have 4 tendons on your rotator cuff. I
Mhm.
tore the 1, 2, 3. I snapped my bicep off. It rolled down. I dislocated my shoulder and I pulled my trap. And we did, I don't know how many more takes after that where I'm throwing punches. I was in so much pain. Then later on, we went back to the hotel and then we sat around for 3 hours, which is the worst. And we had to go back at midnight to this dock when the dock was closed, and we had to
Mhm.
shoot another scene. And then I couldn't even put my contacts in. I couldn't barely put my clothes on. They had to put my shirt on for me.
Oh
It
my
was really bad.
God.
I came home and I had huge surgery. They had to cut me, my whole chest open and put everything back in. Then I had to go back 3 months later and finish. It's supposed to be 9 months, but 3 months later and finish the scene, which is now freezing. It's snowing. We're in a barn when I roll around at the end there. That was after
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Well, it was funny because your character in the movie, it was similar. I was making jokes to myself, similar to the knight in Monty Python. Like you just win, die. First
Yeah,
you're stabbed, like then you come back, and then something else happens, and you're there. You are again.
yeah, yeah.
It was
It
great.
was. I was like, I live with this stab through my abdomen, and they're like, yeah, you're a hero, you know. So, by the way, Rob Deere, who's what's his name, Eric something, the guy who played part four, who's Rob Deere. I played James Deere, his brother. We tried to get him. I don't know if you remember. I read a letter from my brother, and that's what
Yeah.
like sets me off. We tried to get him to narrate that, but he was SAG, and he said he didn't want to do it because he wouldn't get in trouble. I'm like, we don't have to credit you, dude. I'm just talking into your phone. I just want to put it in the film, but he wouldn't do it. He thought
Uh,
nobody would care. I'm like, what are you crazy? Everyone would care.
I know exactly. I mean, like they people would definitely care, and people would definitely know. That would be a big
Yeah.
thing
He,
for the
he told
film.
me, he's like, I don't go to conventions because no one cares. I said, Eric, if you went to a convention with Ted White and you got back in your gear and he did, do you know how much money you would sell with those photo ops?
Oh yeah.
Right? Oh my God. That's four is my favorite. I don't know about you, but
Yeah. Yeah. I'm trying to think. I haven't seen them in such a long time, but I do like four, and I loved two. I loved one. So
yeah.
so that was a good question. I was gonna good segue into what I was going to ask you next because I was going to ask you what your favorite Friday 13th was. You said four. What's your
Four.
least favorite?
It's either Jason Goes to Hell or Jason X.
Yeah.
Um, Probably Jason X. People say Jason X is a funner film, but it was such a joke to me to put him in space, put him in. It looked like he was a Mighty Morphin Power Ranger
Yeah.
with that stupid shit on, right? He looked like a bad guy from Mighty, and it was just so comical. And it just you shouldn't have made fun of Jason like that. I didn't like it, and it was a low budget. It looked like it was the sci-fi film. Remember the sci-fi films back in the
Oh
day?
yeah.
Yeah. So that I gotta say X.
Now, who's your favorite Jason?
Kane Hodder, man.
Oh
He's
yeah.
my buddy. He's my buddy.
Yeah.
I hang out with him and I drink with him at cons and stuff. He'll be at CT Horror Fest and my table's right across from him.
All right. Well, I'll definitely see both of you there because I'll definitely
Yeah.
be at that one. I've met Kane Hodder several times, and as you mentioned, I know you. And I'm not friends with him like you are, but
Yeah.
I've talked to him for a long time. The guy is such a great guy, and I saw that documentary on him and how he got burned up and everything.
He was
So,
bullied.
yes.
Yeah. It was amazing. What a great doc. I knew him pretty well. I didn't even know half of that, you know?
Yeah. I didn't know any of that until I saw a documentary. It was like, what? Because I've
Did you see the Steve Dash documentary we did?
no, I have
Oh,
to
you gotta
check.
see it, man. I'll send you a link. We did a Steve
Please.
Dash. We interviewed Kane. We interviewed CJ Graham. We interviewed a whole different bunch of people because Steve passed away unfortunately right after we shot Vengeance One.
Yeah.
And it meant a lot to us. I'm like, oh, we gotta do a thing. We have his son on there. It was pretty good. It's online. I'll send you the link.
All right. No, please do that. 'Cause I want to see that. I would love to watch that. I want to talk about. I heard you mentioning this when I was doing my research. Your favorite picture with the Friday 13th cast. You got a picture with most or all of the Jasons.
Yeah, man. Jan, you did some really good research, man. Yeah, I'm proud of you, dude.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite. There's so many favorite things I have, but I just can't imagine one being so much better than that. So it's part two, part four, part five, part six, seven, eight, nine, 10, and Freddy vs. Jason, Ken Kersinger, all in the outfits. And Kane knew who I was. And when I walked in the room, they all started chanting my name. And I was like, oh my God, is this even happening? So there's like two pictures I paid for two where they're choking me and stuff. And then there's one where Ted White was looking away. So they redid it. And I got another one where he's looking straight where they're like beating me up. So in that picture, they're punching me, hitting me, elbowing me. And I'm like smiling if you saw it. And then I got the picture and then I went around to all of them and had them all sign it. And unfortunately, Steve and now Ted White passed away since then. So for me, it's an alt. I wish Brooker, I have the part 3 shadow box right here. I wish
Yeah.
Brooker was alive then too, because that would have been great.
Yeah. What's your favorite look? Which Jason?
Got to be 7, Kane Hodder with
Yeah.
the face. That's why I did Rosebud and the mask. But after that, 3 and 4 is pretty close.
Yeah. All right. So I know that your next movie is not going to be a fan film, but
No.
do you have any plans of going not Friday 13th, but maybe another franchise doing a fan film? For me, I think my favorite horror movie growing up was Phantasm. I loved the tall man, the ball, Reggie.
Bro, I always said if I was going to do another fan film, which I'm not because the money is insane,
Yeah.
I wanted to do Jason Brooks as the tall man,
Oh,
and because he would be a perfect tall man. and to do Phantasm. I met them all. I'm gonna next week. I'm selling my Sphere. I have the ball signed by all of them. The Part Two Sphere,
Yep.
or Part One Sphere. I met them all except the tall man in Massachusetts a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Phantasm. I have the box set. Is one of my favorites of all time. And if I ever was going to do a fan film again, I would 100% do it as Phantasm.
Yeah. Now that
Finding
is,
Reggie would be tough.
yeah. Well, unfortunately, here's what I mean. I don't know if you know this story. I wanted to interview Reggie, and his wife kept on saying, "Oh yeah, we'll do it," and then she kept on canceling. So I thought she was blowing me off. And I'm like, "What's going on?" So finally, she goes, "All right, Rich, we can do the interview." My friend who edits this show, he wanted to be a part of it. I'm like, "Yeah, come on." So we co-hosted an interview. We got him on there, and most of the time, she's interviewing, or I'm interviewing him, and she's, "Remember this, Reggie? Come on, remember?" And she's answering. I said, "Boy, she's really." She's over managing him. What's going on here? And I didn't find out until after that he has, is it Alzheimer's, dementia, or
And MS,
oh,
right?
and Parkinson's.
Parkinson's, sorry.
That's it, Parkinson's. Yeah. So I did not
Parkinson's.
realize, because she didn't mention that at the time. And I said, boy, she's really like, just let the man talk. Let him, I mean, he knows what, because I met him. The first time I met them was 1990, the Fangoria convention. And I
Wow.
met them in New York too. I mean, sorry, in Rock and Shock. And I have a picture where I'll send these pictures to you too, where I met the whole cast and crew. And I have a picture where it's like, "The funeral is about to begin, sir." He has his hand on my shoulder. I
Yeah.
love, okay, okay. Where
That's
I'm
awesome.
Jody.
Yeah. That's all. I met them and him at Rock and Shock too was the last time I saw Reggie.
Yeah. And Reggie, I remember, I don't know if he was like that or if he had the time, but he takes the time to talk to everybody. He had his own table when I was there, and he was talking to my brother and I for about 25 minutes about anything and everything. And then I said, "All right, well, I'll let you." He goes, "No, no, come on, come on." Say, he was like, actually didn't want me to leave. He's like, we were talking
Yeah.
about all these different things he's done and
Same
horror
with me.
movies.
He told me about the cars. I said, well, he still have that car. He said, actually, every film is a different version of that car. By the way, that car sold for the most money ever for any
Yep.
refurbished car in the history of the world. Not that car, but that make and model. But
Yep.
so every time what's his name would sell it to make money to make another one, and then he'd somehow have to find another one of those cars.
Yeah.
Um,
The Barracuda, the
the
Cuda, which,
Barracuda, the Barracuda convertible, which
yep.
is even more rare. Yeah. Did you watch Phantasm 5?
That was the last one, right?
Yeah, Ravager
Yeah.
wasn't that good, but
It was, it's funny because I didn't like it the first time I saw it, and then I saw it again, and after I realized what it was, because I'm sure it was originally, it's supposed to be a miniseries, a YouTube miniseries or something like that, but then they ended up turning it into a movie. So the first time I didn't like it, but then I went back and I interviewed Don Cody, the one who played in the movie, and I enjoy it more. I agree with you. It's not great,
yeah.
but it wasn't as bad as I originally thought.
I honestly, and this is not cocky or anything, I really feel if we did an Indiegogo and we raised like 70 to 100 grand, that we could definitely make a film better than Ravager
Oh,
for a fan film. I really think so. And I feel bad because Don Coscarelli is awesome. And it's just that 5 was really low budget. You could tell. You could just
yeah.
tell when you watch
Oh no,
it.
and you know what? And I'm not just saying this because you're on the show. I know you can because I've seen your work. You
Thank
could
you.
definitely, like I said, you make me want to go back and just rewatch all the Friday 13th back to back because that's how much that I loved your movies and how much I got into them watching them.
Thank you.
So
Thank you. It means a lot, man. When fans like you come, like when you hit me up, hey, I'm coming to the thing, and that just means everything. Because I'm
yeah,
a huge fan.
yeah,
Like we don't make money on these things, so the fact that fans love it for that is great, and your support was great. That picture is great too, me stabbing you.
yes.
Yeah.
I love that. Well, you know what? See, I love, this is what I love about going to the conventions because I meet so many people who I grew up watching, and most of them, for the most part, are great people. And I said, it's so great to see these people that I watched for years, and all of a sudden you're even better in person. I want to talk about one person that you and I both met. I have my story, and I know you have your story. I heard it was a joy to meet Linda Blair.
Did I tell you that, or did you see it in an
No,
interview?
I was doing my research.
You're so good, dude. You must have watched 50 interviews.
I
Um,
I did a lot.
yeah, you are good. The funny thing is, before we go further, you have a story about her also?
Yeah.
Okay,
The,
because when I told my story to multiple people, I don't know anybody who didn't say the same thing I said.
mhm.
So long story short, I think it was Rock and Shock the first time, and I went there and I was in line and I was like maybe 10 people out. And I saw her like with her manager, and she was just like, how much fucking they better pay fucking cash, and I'm not fucking doing credit cards, and no, you got to get the right fucking money and tell them not to fucking touch me. I mean, we can hear her. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
she's like in the you know how those conventions are. Like I
Yeah.
can hear her, and then she's like, "Yeah, this is how much fucking longer?" And I was like, "Man, fuck this." And I had the box set, the tin set that had the crab walk, the real nice one that came out a bunch of years
Yeah.
ago. So I had that one, and I got out of line. And then I went again the last year of Rock and Shock. I think she was there, and Kane. I was at Kane's table because I'll sit with him and hang out with him. He was right next to her, and I'm like, "Oh, let me get in line." So I had the box set, and I got back in line, and man, there was a kid there, and the kid was like, "Oh, it's my favorite movie," and she's like, "Yeah, whatever." And he's like, "Can I get a picture?" And she's like, "Did you pay?" She's like, "No, it's money per person, per kid, per no." Then the kid was all sad, and she's like, "I'm not signing it." And the kid turned away all crying with the parent. I if it was a dude, I probably would have punched her.
Wow.
And I was just like, "What?" And I just me and another guy got out of line, and I just so I'm like, "Honey, you don't do a lot of things. This is like your bread maker right here,
I
you know?"
know.
Like, and the way she treated I mean, I didn't. She's always had a puss on her face. She's always just
Yeah.
miserable.
Yeah.
So I want to hear your story.
All right. Well, the first time I met her, do you remember Spooky World? Goes back to years ago, Berlin, Mass. The first time I met her, I was in radio years ago, and she did a bumper for me. It's like, and she was okay. She was like, "Oh yeah, you're listening to Rich Sayre. He really makes my head spin and things like that." So it's okay. But then I saw her at Rock and Shock. I saw her at Chiller, and she was just like how you described her. And she goes, "I don't want to talk about The Exorcist. I only want to talk about my what I'm doing with the animals." I said, but and I'm saying to myself, nobody really cares what you do to animals.
Yeah.
It's an honorable thing. We're happy you do that, but people come here to talk about The Exorcist because that's what you're known for. And she refused to talk about anything. You want to buy my calendar? You want like, no, I don't want to buy your calendar. So that happened twice, and I said I never even attempted to try and talk to her again because I saw exactly what you were seeing, and I
Yeah.
said I don't really care. So it was weird. The first time I met her, she was actually somewhat decent. This was, I want to say, mid early 90s. I don't know what happened over the last couple of years because she's just bitter and she, like you said, she's all about money
Yeah.
and she just doesn't want. No, I don't want to talk about The Exorcist. And it's like nobody really cares about. You're at a horror convention to talk about the movies you're known for.
Right. Yeah. And you make no other movies. So
I
like,
know
what are you
exactly.
talking about? You know, like you make nothing off any other movies. This is your bread and butter. Just smile, bear the 2 days, make your 20 grand. You know
Yep.
what I'm saying? And go home. She was so when she was crappy to the kid too. I was just like, the kid was so devastated,
Yeah.
and I
Listen.
was just like, you're just a piece of shit, And I remember getting out of line, and the manager's like, no, we'll get you. I'm like, nah, man, I'm good. Like, and I'm like you, I'm never. It's my favorite horror movie.
Yeah.
And I'm never, ever, ever going to get her autograph because listen, I've been there too. And I think I'm good with fans. And the fact that it's not even like she's like a lister and she can't go to eat or she can't go to a movie that I get like, people want to live their lives. You've come to this convention to sign for fans. I
I
don't
know.
get the attitude. That makes no
No,
sense.
exactly. If you don't want to do it, you're nobody put a gun to your head to say you have to be at this convention. People
Right.
usually do it because they want to be there. So just don't go. If you don't want to talk to anybody, you don't want to talk about that, then stay home. Don't
Right.
go there and just disappoint people that grew up watching you and even kids that are just getting to know you.
Yeah.
That's why it was funny. It's very ironic, I guess. One of the times I saw her, they came out with a movie called The Blair Bitch Project, and it was
Oh,
starring
yeah.
her.
Yeah. It was like a spoof, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. 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 And the other thing too is, what was the other one in Massachusetts or New Hampshire? Scarefest or Scarecon?
that one I'm not sure about. I know in Berlin,
Scare.
Mass, and it went to Foxborough with Spooky World, and I went there several times. I don't even know if they have it anymore, but
There's a
that's where
Scarecon went away. That was one up that area too.
okay. So I never went to that one, but I used to go to some of the other conventions in that area. And
Yeah.
like I said, now it was Fangoria, then I went to Chiller, then Rock and Shock, Spooky World. So I actually went to a couple in Texas when I was in that area at the time. It was,
You got to
but
go to Monster Mania, bro. It's the best one, in
I
my
know.
opinion.
Well, you know what? I think,
Yeah.
and now that you told me it's next weekend, I think I'm gonna have to rearrange my schedule.
You got to get tickets though. So I don't know. I think there's still tickets online, but yeah.
I'll find out.
But she, not only what me and you said, I've seen her cancel like the Scarecon, Monster Mania. She's canceled a lot where people stop asking her to come because she's really not anywhere anymore.
And see, and it's funny. You're right. I haven't seen her in a couple of years, and
People are tired
I
of.
probably was because I didn't even care. I'm like, who
Yeah.
cares if she's there or not?
Yeah, which is so crazy because I mean I love it. People talk about like oh this film, that film. You have no idea. And people, first of all, people were a lot more religious back then. Number one,
Yeah.
and number two, and people throwing up in the theaters, passing out, going to see their priest. It was like what the Jaws effect had on people going to the water.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Like that you can't make that impact anymore. I don't
Yeah.
think.
Well, it's funny because my seventh grade teacher told me that her first job was working at a drive-in, passing out smelling salts to people that were passing out at the drive-in
Wow.
from watching The Exorcist.
Yeah. Now, as much as like I don't know, Terrifier is phenomenal, right?
Yeah.
No one's gonna pass. They said people were throwing up, maybe, but no
Yeah.
one's gonna pass out or go home and then question their faith. And like it really had an impact on their life. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, no,
You can't
definitely.
do that. The only thing that was close to that was probably um the Blair Witch when you
Yeah.
thought when they tried to sell it that it really was found footage, right? That was
Yeah.
kind of a genius marketing thing. Yeah.
Yeah, because that was like that was 1999, so it was like the start of social media, and
Yeah.
that's when they started. They had a genius campaign,
Genius.
like, and then people were sending search parties to help look for these people.
Yeah.
The movie was done very well.
That movie cost them like 27 grand and
Yeah,
made like 200 million or whatever the fuck it was. Amazing, dude. Amazing.
I
Yeah.
like there was. I remember for some reason I just remember this joke so clearly. Chris Rock was hosting some award show around that time, and he goes like this: "Hey, they say it cost $27,000 to make Blair Witch." He goes, "Somebody else has $26,500 in their pocket right now." Because where'd the rest of it go?
It's the truth. I mean, Friday 13th one was 500,000 and it made 59 million, something like
Wow.
that. Yeah. So
That's yeah, that was a I love that movie. And it's just like I remember when it came out, was it 1980 or 81, somewhere around there, I think.
79 is one, I
Oh,
think, right?
79? Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, because I definitely remember seeing that in the theaters. I said, these are one of the movies my father's like, my kids can handle it. Let's
Yeah.
give them tickets. I was 11 years old at that time.
That's the
And
other thing too. I told the stories I used to sneak in to see Friday 13th. Tell me it's not, it's so different today. Back in the day, like you had to get by that ticket guy, number one, which was hard. Like they really checked your age. And the
yeah,
second of me, they used to send people in the theaters all the time with the flashlights going up and down looking for, they
yep,
don't do any of that anymore. Like it's so
no.
easy for a kid to sneak in. Half the time the person isn't even there or they don't even care anymore. It's so different.
Yeah, I was going to say that because now you can just buy it online and there's nobody usually checking
Yeah.
your phone or anything. Just
Yeah.
like,
We used to, I used to go and remember they used to get the paper and it would have the newspaper times in it.
yeah,
Yeah. So I would go and I'd be like, hey, mom, because my mom would take me, I was little. And I'd be like, hey, me and Brian, my buddy, he loved horror too. I'm like, we're going to go watch and we'd find a movie. So like, I remember part 7 was like Mac and Me or something like the same time, like 10 minutes different. So like, mom, we're going to go see Mac and Me. So we'd buy the tickets for Mac and Me. We'd go in and then we'd come out, and look around and run back in to see Friday 13th. Nobody, they don't do that anymore.
the funny is one time I snuck into a movie. I can't remember which one it was, but I was the only one in the theater. And I guess sometimes they don't show the movie if nobody bought a ticket. So I had to go out and say, for some reason, I don't think that movie, the projection isn't on. Okay, I'll look into it. And they started the movie, but I don't think they were going to start it because nobody bought a ticket. I was the
Oh,
only, I'm just
that
sitting
makes
there
sense.
waiting.
What movie was it? Do you
I
remember?
can't remember now. This
Oh,
was a long time ago. And I just said, nobody's looking. Let me just sneak into this movie. And
Yeah.
I
There's
said,
nothing
wow.
better than watching a horror movie with fans because the reactions,
Yeah.
just makes it
Well,
so much better. I
it's,
remember watching to me, the newer movies that are just as scary. The Conjuring's up there. It's probably in my top 5.
yes.
That movie was scary as shit. I remember watching in the theater. Like that was a great movie.
Yeah, no, it definitely was. And good thing is, 'cause I love the paranormal as well. And I mean, I think 95% of it is bullshit, but that's another interview. But I actually had a chance to sleep at the Conjuring house for the weekend, and I got to stay there. I have pictures of it. But I interviewed the daughter that movie was based on. It was called, her name is Andrea Perron. It was the Perron family that the movie was based on. So I got a chance to interview her and talk about the movie and what really happened and this and that.
Yeah.
Really interesting story. And even if you don't believe in the paranormal, the house has such a great history and it's so historic and it's a great place just to visit.
I went to the Warrens on Halloween a bunch of years back
Yep.
and saw the Annabelle doll and all that. I think it was like $250 for a ticket or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, did you go there when they were still alive or no?
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you?
It
Okay.
was in what, Milford?
No, it's oh my God, Monroe.
Monroe, sorry. Yeah, Monroe. I always mix the M's up. Monroe. But yeah, I went there and they're like, don't touch the doll. My buddy's like, did you touch the glass? I'm like, bro, I really don't believe in it, but what if, you know what I'm saying? What if I touch this goddamn glass and this fucking thing's after me for the rest of my life? I'm not doing it.
Exactly. It's just that one half of it,
Yeah.
thing of doubt, like 0.5% of doubt. I'd
Yeah.
rather I live with it. Well, it's funny because I used to go over their house in the '90s, and this is before. I mean, they were known as paranormal investigators, but they really weren't. Like after The Conjuring came out, forget it. But it was $25 a person. You had to bring at least 4 people, so they made $100. And we got a chance. My friends and I got a chance to go in there and see the Annabelle doll and all of this stuff. And it was funny because even back then, I said Ed's all about the money. Lorraine was so nice, so gracious. She's going on and on, answering questions. All of a sudden, Ed's like, got a burger in the grill. All right, gotta go.
Yeah. That's how they work.
I always said that, like, I wish Ed, or I'm sure he would be happy if he lived long enough to see what they are now, because he didn't get a chance to live that long to see like how popular they became with the Conjuring movies. She was in the first one, and she lived a little bit.
You saw her, right? When they pull away from them on stage, she's in the front row right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I noticed that. Yeah.
Yeah, she is such a nice, or was such a nice, gracious person. She is like, oh, I remember one time I called her up because I wanted to bring some more friends to her house, and she goes, it was around 11 o'clock at night, and I said, she goes, is this Rich? I said, how'd you know? She goes, this long before caller ID. She goes, every time I get in the shower, you decide to call. I said, hey, Lorraine, people are going to start talking about us. And she goes, ha, 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 honey, I love you. Like, she's so nice.
Yeah. Yeah. And she was a pretty lady, even at the end there.
Oh, yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah.
Really quick, I forgot about this. I want to go back to, because The Exorcist is one of my favorite movies. Did you hear that story that there was a real serial killer in that movie?
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah. The guy, when they're doing the MRI,
yeah,
one of the things, he ended up killing his girlfriend or something, or a bunch of people, and they caught him, like 3 people or something.
I think he was caught for one, but there's also plenty of evidence that he killed other people. I'm not sure if it's yeah.
That's what it is. There's speculation that he killed others. Yeah, that's crazy.
Well, we talked about Linda Blair. There's another actor that I want to talk about that I do my research with you, and I'm surprised by this because I've heard so many nice stories about him. Kevin Bacon. He won't talk about Friday the 13th at all. He won't sign anything.
That's what I hear. That's what I heard from everybody, that he won't sign anything. Like, I heard if you contact his manager, one of my buddies said he'll if you send the picture, he just signs it, but he won't sign his character. And it's like $100 or something like that.
No
but
way.
I don't even know if that's true. I've never seen any. But did you watch the commercial last year with him?
No, I'm not sure.
Dude, he did a commercial of every movie that he was in. Yep. So he did this commercial. I think it was like a internet commercial or something like that. And you got to look it up. And so he was in the Footloose gear. He was in everything. He was Friday the 13th. He had the arrow coming out of his chest.
Okay.
And nobody believes it. Like, well, because he never talks about it. He's almost ashamed of it, kind of thing. I'll find the commercial and I'll send it to you. It's like, we all couldn't believe it. We're like, wow, he actually did that. I'm sure it wasn't his idea, but still.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm surprised. Like, I mean, everybody had, like, Johnny Depp in the Nightmare on Elm Street. Who cares? People had their start, and I think it'd be cool to be in a movie like that. Just, I'm surprised because I know people. He has a house in Connecticut, and where I used to work, one of my cashiers lived not too far from them, and she used to talk to them. She said they were like nicest people in the world. So I'm surprised that like he would be like that about Friday the 13th. But I guess everybody has something that.
look at oh my God. She just won the Grammy. What's her name? Laurie Strode. What's her name?
Oh, Jamie Lee Curtis.
Jamie Lee Curtis. She shit on Halloween for a long time too, until recently. I know. Same with what's her name that played the mother in Friday the 13th. She goes, oh, I only did that because I needed a car payment and it was $500. I needed to buy a car and it was $500, and they shit on it. Then when they get older, they realize like how much the franchise is, how much money it makes, and they kind of change their tune. But Jamie Lee Curtis, did you see when Danielle Harris and Taylor Scout Compton went to the 2018 the 40-year reunion?
Yeah,
and she didn't know who they were.
Yeah. I forgot about that, but I do remember that.
Yeah, there's a big article. They talked about it. Because Danielle and Taylor Scout Compton have like a podcast together. Yeah. And they talked about it. They said that she said, I don't even know who you are. And we're like, well, we're from the Rob Zombie one, and then and she's like, whatever. She's like, it doesn't count to me. She was like shitty to them. Fellow actors at the 40-year reunion.
Wow, that's surprising, because it was funny because I didn't see the speech, but I read it where she won for Everywhere, Everything, All at Once. Yeah. And she was saying, she goes, I'm maybe a Nepo baby, but if I didn't get this, I never would have done Halloween. And she sounded so grateful for getting that role, because I want to say, I can't remember her name, something like Petticoat Junction, like a show, something like that. And she couldn't get that, but because of that, she was able to get Halloween. She was so grateful for working with John Carpenter. This was just recently. It's like you said, it's funny. The older you get, the more you look back and reflect and say, oh, you know what? It was pretty good.
because she realizes it's her legacy.
Yes,
So that's what
exactly.
it is. She doesn't want to tarnish her legacy.
Yep. Yeah.
Because earlier she didn't. Who thinks that Halloween or Friday the 13th is going to be this big thing? They
I
don't
know.
think back then horror films was like you were a subpar actor, you know. So that's how
Yep.
they acted. Like, oh, we're better than this. Like, no, no, you're not better than the people.
No, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm surprised by that, but yeah, she's
I'm not
always going to be
surprised. I mean, her mother's Janet Leigh. Her dad's what, Tony Curtis.
Tony Curtis. Yeah,
Yeah, so she grew up royalty. You
yeah.
know.
But
Yeah,
Janet Leigh was in Psycho, which was
yeah,
basically another low budget horror movie. That was like that era's
yeah.
Halloween.
Did you see how they put the car in H2O?
Yes.
Yeah, thought that was
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. No.
Yeah,
What's your for you? What's your favorite Halloween movie? Do you?
one
Yes, without a doubt. That
without a
is
doubt.
definitely. I
I
did like
like two
Halloween
too.
too.
I like two.
Yeah, no, me too. That was like that. It's funny because I was always down on sequels even back then, but that Halloween 2 and even Jaws 2 around because Jaws 2 came out in
Yeah.
'78. They were both around, and I was like, you know what? These are actually pretty good. Like
Man,
normally I would just
I give the argument Halloween 2 might be scarier than Halloween 1. Because just
I
just her running through the hospital and the fact that no one's in the hospital, you're like, where the hell is everybody?
yeah.
You know, that was scary for me, Halloween 2. And then after that it gets, to Halloween 4 probably.
Yeah. Well, you know what's funny is I mean I know why they did it because I guess he had a contract he was going to release a movie every year and then it was originally called Season of the Witch, but then Halloween became so popular they just added that to it. I like that movie even though it has nothing to do with it and it really wasn't meant to have anything to do with it, but I love the whole Shamrock mask and 3 more days to Halloween.
Yeah, that scared the shit out
Silver
of me.
Shamrock.
When I was a kid, dude, that scared the shit out of me.
Yeah.
Buying a mask and having it kill you, like, and I don't understand why people are so mad about it because it's not like Halloween 5. I mean, Friday 13th 5. So Friday 13th 5 lied to you and they sold it. It was Jason. They put a
Yeah.
mask on a guy that wasn't. So that pissed me the F off, man.
Nice.
I have every mask ever. And I was not, that was the last mask I got with their autographs. But 3 never lied to you about Michael. It was always this story. So it is what
Yeah.
it is. I mean, like everybody says, it's the truth. If you just called the Season of the Witch, it'd probably be in people's favorites.
Yeah. No, I still love and Tom Atkins is hilarious.
Man, dude. He's grabbing girls' asses and stuff. He's like a total stud. Yeah.
What my favorite line from that movie is like, "So where are you going to sleep? Where do you want me to sleep?" He just met her like
Yeah.
a half minute or a half hour ago.
He's like the Magnum PI of horror, right?
What was funny is I was talking about Tom Atkins with Michael Levy because he did the Halloween fan films, and I said I love. He has like some of the most iconic lines. Like, what's the other movie? Where it's like, I have good news and I have bad news. The good news is your dates are here. The bad news is they're dead.
I think the girl says, "What's the bad news?" Right? And
Oh
then he
yeah,
says
yeah,
it. She's on the staircase, right? What's
yeah.
the bad news? That they're dead. And then the bus opens and they all come out all messed up. I hung out with Jason Lively,
Okay.
who played the main character in that, who was Russ in National Lampoon's European Vacation.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
I didn't know that either. So I went to Scaricon, which is that other one I was telling you about, and there was VIP, and I'm sitting there with me, Kane, Felissa Rose, and then he was there. And he was smoking weed in the bathroom. I remember it. And I was like, "Hey, what's going on, man?" I'm like, "Yeah, you played Russ and whatever." And then I had him sign the Night of the Creeps for me. He had a special edition. He goes, "I got one better." He goes, "This one's rarely released. Put this insert in. I'll sign this one too." And he gave it to me. It was like
Wow.
super rare edition. And then he was talking about National Lampoons. I'm like, did you end up banging the French girl from National Lampoons when the bell went off? And he's like, no. He's like, but Dan Aykroyd was trying to get with her, and Chevy Chase told me to go for it. And then he's like, yeah, you know my sister. And I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah, my sister's Blake Lively.
Wow,
And I'm
I didn't
like,
know.
I didn't know that. And then I
Wow.
was like, oh, what? And she just came out with that movie, The Reef, at that point, right?
Yeah.
The
Yep.
shark movie. And
Yeah.
then she's married to, what's his name?
Ryan
Ryan Reynolds.
Ryan
Yeah.
Reynolds,
So
yeah.
I said, hey, let me ask a question. Is Ryan Deadpool? I go, Ryan Reynolds, is he as cool as he says as he seems, or is he like really just a dick? And he goes, bro, I wanted to hate him, but he's real cool.
He's he seems like it.
That's good to know. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it is. Because
Yeah.
I'm for me, I'm so superheroed out. But the only superhero movies I will still go see are Deadpool. So I think they're hilarious.
Now
And
with Wolverine, I never thought,
yeah,
because he said, how can
yeah,
I ever top Logan? Which you got to have that as one of the best superhero movies of all time. And I agree. How do you top Logan? He's like, I don't want to come back and plus, when do you put him as? Because he's not jacked like he was anymore. So
yeah,
like, how do you make him look like he was? It made sense in that movie because he was rotting and he was getting sick.
yeah.
So but them two together is going to be great.
Oh yeah, no, I agree with you. When I saw Logan, I said this because it's not even really a superhero movie. It's more of a character study, and that's what I loved
Yes.
about it.
Yeah, he was great. And the fact that the metal's killing him, what made him strong is killing him. And then, Professor X is like, killing the world by accident. He has Alzheimer's. What a scary thing. A guy, the strongest mind in the world, has Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
That was such a great, the little girl was great. You know, that the girl for Stranger Things, 11, tried out for that. She was second. She didn't get it to that girl.
Oh wow. No, I didn't know that.
Yeah. But it's hard to imagine somebody after her because she seemed so ferocious, you know?
Yeah. Well, it's
Yeah.
funny. Speaking of people that were trying out or auditioning for movies, Brad Pitt auditioned for Michael in Phantasm 2, and he didn't get it.
I didn't know that.
Yep.
Dude, you're laying knowledge on me. Yeah. The funny thing is, they got rid of his real name is Michael, whatever, from part
Yeah,
one.
Baldwin, Michael Baldwin.
That's his name?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So they didn't want him for two because they remember two was a $3 million budget.
Yes.
Or two or $3 million budget was the biggest
was up
budget
there.
ever. Yeah, in Phantasm, and you could tell because that's one of my favorite movies, Phantasm too. But the fact that Michael wasn't in it, they said you have to have, the deal is we'll give you the money, but you have to have one of our studio actors because it's like you're juiced in kind of.
Yeah.
So he got it, but I didn't know that Brad Pitt tried out for it. Wow.
Yep, he tried it. He didn't get it. It's funny because when I was interviewing Reggie, he goes, they wanted the franchise, they loved everything about it, but they made everybody audition for the roles again. They said they wanted the movie or the franchise, but they didn't want any of the actors at first. And Michael's the only one. Well, actually, was Jody wasn't in that either, was he? I don't think in that one. Reggie was.
No.
Yeah,
I don't think so.
it was just, but Reggie's the ice cream man. He was like the surprise hit from those movies. The guy is just hilarious.
I love how in one he walked by the ice cream man and then turned and looked at the camera, and you thought that was him being creepy, but it turns out that he doesn't like the cold.
Yes,
and that
I
was
never knew that.
That was so great the way they did that. Yeah,
yeah. It's funny because I didn't know that until years later when I was either watching making on it or something. But yeah, I thought the same too. It's like he just stops, stares, and like that, and like, oh, he can't stand the cold.
Because Reggie opened the doors for the ice cream right then.
Yeah.
And then the tuning fork.
Yep.
Which is basically like those little pillars that send you in between the worlds, you know? Yeah.
Great. And I can't get that song when Jody and Reggie sing that song. I can never get that song out of my head. Just sitting here at midnight.
He sings again later, like in 4 or 5 to a chick, I think, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I didn't realize the guy that played Jody was in a band, and so he used to write music. So they said he wrote that music for that movie.
Yeah, they said they just kind of came up with it right there, right? Something like that. Yeah. Amazing. Yeah, Reggie is impossible to recreate.
No, definitely. That's why I mentioned to him. I said they can't. I said he and the tall man. There's no way they can ever. Well, no, you mentioned a good replacement. Like if you end up doing that, I could really picture that.
I can see Jason Brooks doing it because it's kind of his demeanor. You know, I would even shave his head like that and everything, make it look just like that man, the old man, the tall man. So I can see him doing it. Everybody else would be easy. The hardest casting would be Reggie.
Yes, exactly.
It'd be Reggie. And do you do the same like balding, long-haired hippie look, or do you go different, or because that's gonna be hard to find too? You know.
I know.
Nobody holds on to those hairstyles anymore. You know, people go bald like they shave their head like me. They don't hold on to the 8-foot ponytail with no hair. You know what I'm saying?
He's the only one I know that can make that look cool.
Yeah, and I love how he still pulled chicks, you know, no matter what.
Oh yeah, which one was it with Rocky?
Rocky. They put her in Phantasm at the end. Credits, if you saw it. Yeah.
No, I love those movies. Well, we were talking about some of the cast members that you met for Friday the 13th. I did have a chance to meet Betsy Palmer. I didn't really have a good or bad experience with her. It was so quick. She was mostly like, oh, hi, how's it going? And then like, just basically like take the picture and go. She really didn't want to talk that much. She wasn't mean, but there was somebody that I met, and it wasn't for Friday the 13th, but he was one of the nicest, most down-to-earth people. It was Crispin Glover.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Right. Do you know where Real Artways is in Hartford?
No.
All right. So Real Artways is a great movie theater. They have an art studio, not art studio, art gallery in one area. They have a movie theater that shows independent movies, documentaries, foreign movies, and they have bands there. It's a great place. It's in Hartford on Arbor Street. But he was there because he came out with a movie, and it was Shakespeare done by people with Down syndrome, and he was worried that people were going to take it the wrong way, and he was making fun of them. So he wanted to tour with the movie because he goes, I'm not making fun of them. I want to give people that would never give somebody like this a chance to do something. They were doing Shakespeare, and it was really good. And so I was talking to him for a while, and he was so soft spoken. He's, oh, thank you very much. I really do appreciate this. Thank you very much for coming to my film. He was a cool guy.
Yeah, I hear good about him. I hear bad about I'm dieting, so forgive me. My brain is gone when I don't have carbs. What's his name? Tommy in part 4. What's his name?
Oh my God. Now this is where my brain is dying because
The
I can't
kid, the kid that
remember.
does he does the band stuff. Remember he did the Today Show where he had the angels dancing with him and stuff. He thinks he's Michael Jackson.
Oh my God. I know because he was yeah.
License to Drive. Corey
Corey
Feldman.
Feldman. That's it. Thank
So
you.
so my buddy Corey Feldman, he's messed up on drugs. He's a lunatic. So my
Yeah.
buddy, I have the tin box set of Friday 13th. So I probably have like 60 signatures in it. And I was gonna go to him in the casino. I was gonna give it to my buddy. I'm like, I kind of want to be with it, So he's like, I'll whatever, I'll go. We'll do it another time. So he goes and he tells him because he saw him writing peace and love with a hippie sign, a peace sign, and then writing peace and love, Corey Feldman. So, collectors are big on how you sign stuff.
Yeah.
So he's like, hey, here's my poster, Friday 13th. I got like 20 people signed it. He's like, can you please just sign your name? And that's it. And he's like, just my name, that's it. He goes, yeah. He signs it. It's my Facebook going off. He signs it and does the peace symbol and writes peace and love on it. Dude, my buddy like almost attacked him.
Good.
And like it was an original Friday 13th part 4 poster, like the big one, the 36 by whatever. And he said his guards had to like get him out of there, like he wanted to kill him. And he's like, "What, man? What's the problem?" And I'll never have him sign anything because of that.
What an asshole.
Yeah, yeah.
Who's my mind went blank on this one. Who's the guy from Gremlins? He was the kid in Gremlins.
Oh, he was kind of a dick too.
Yeah.
At Rock and Shock. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. That. Yeah. He must. I don't know if he was in a shitty mood, but he was an asshole. I said, I went up to him, and it's funny. I only went up to him because I felt sorry for him because nobody was talking to him. So I said, "Oh, what are you up to now?" You don't care. I said, "No. Well, it's an independent movie." I said, "Well, no, I love those kind of movies. Why don't you look it up on Wikipedia?" Goodbye.
Wow.
And yeah, so that was probably around the same time because I don't know if he was there again, but
and that movie was Hatchet.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And that director is
Hatchet
so
3.
cool. I met him so many times that I wanted him to be on the podcast. He said because he does his own something about he couldn't do my show either. But
yeah, Adam Green.
Yes, I love his movies.
Adam Green actually didn't direct 3. His like buddy did, but he was a producer.
Yeah.
But he's in 3. What's his name? The guy from Gremlins. But I was with my niece and we met Adam Green. I had one of the claymation dolls made of Hatchet. And I had Adam Green sign one leg and Kane sign the other.
Yep.
And then I saw him and I'm like, because my niece Ella just watched Gremlins. And I was like, oh, my niece just watched Gremlins. She's a big fan of yours. He's like, yeah. Just like you said at Rock and Shock. He was like in that middle table.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And he was just such a dick. And then somebody else wanted his autograph and he had pre-signed ones that he just threw. So you had to like buy the pre-signed one for like $40 instead of watching him sign it and take a photograph and everything. He just threw them out there. He's such an asshole.
Wow. Yeah. You know what I loved about Adam Green? He said that everybody was getting so mad at him because on his table, he goes, I don't charge people for photos because I love you. And he was probably like, in jest in a way, but he really wasn't charging people. And he says, no, people are getting so pissed off at me because I'm doing that. I said, why should they? He was just such a great talent. I love that TV show that he had. It was maybe 2 or 3 seasons with Dee Snider, Kane Hodder. I know you were bringing up
Holliston.
Thank you.
Yeah,
We're bringing up things I haven't thought about in a long time.
You remember what the Kane Hodder one, where every time they brought up Freddy vs. Jason, he like hit himself with the plate and tried to hang himself and shit. That was good. So I'll give you a funny story off that. I'm with Kane at Monster Mania. I'm at his table and hanging out. I think we're drinking. And a guy came up and he said, hey, can you sign this? And it was a Freddy vs. Jason poster. And he goes, I just want to let you know I'm not in this movie. And he goes, no, that's okay. I just want you to sign it. He goes, you sure? And he goes, yeah. And he's like, okay. And then he signs it and he goes off. And I look at between me and Kane. I go, I thought you said you're over the whole, because he did an interview. I thought he said you're over the whole Freddy vs. Jason thing. He calls me Petey. He goes, Petey, I lied. He's still not over it. I thought that was great.
That is funny.
Yeah. He should have been.
Grudge will not let go.
He should have been the Jason. I mean, because when you grew up with Robert Englund and you grew up with Kane, like during that time, and it became really big, and that's who you wanted to see fight each other. So I don't know why they would change it.
Yeah, no, I don't understand that either. And I'm sure he would have. I don't think it was because he wanted an astronomical amount of money. I'm sure he would have done it just to be in the movie.
No,
he seems like that.
I know he did Hatchet 4 for 10% of what he did Hatchet 1, just to get it done because Adam wanted it. So that's how Kane is.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
Yeah.
I've only met him a couple of times, but he just seems like that talking to him. He's like, and watching a documentary on him, just a down to earth guy, and
he makes tons of money at the con, so he
yeah,
can afford to not do stuff here and there.
I have a couple pictures. That's probably where I met you too, there, because if you were at his table, I have a couple pictures where he's choking me. So I met him several times.
He stopped choking people too because he got sued.
Are you serious?
Yeah, at Rock and Shock, somebody he would choke. The last few I have him, he choked me at Rock and Shock, and then he said, "Pete, I don't choke anybody." I'm like, Kane, I'm not going to sue you, guy. It's me and you. So he choked me, and then he choked me in another time when he had the Part 9. He was breaking my head.
Yeah,
at Monster Mania. I don't know if you saw that one. And then also, did you see the one where I was the Part 8 punk guy from New York?
Yeah,
and I made him do the mask.
Yep.
Yeah. So, but he told me to do that Rock and Shock. He choked, and the guy didn't fall or anything. And then all of a sudden, the guy went home and said, "Oh, my neck hurts." Got a lawyer, and then tried to sue him. And you're like,
"Oh my God! Please tell me he didn't win."
I don't know. I didn't. It's not. I don't want to ask Paint King that far. Like, hey, would you settle out of court kind of thing? It's none of my business. But that's a pretty shitty move.
No, it definitely is, because it probably wasn't even the guys. It was probably some lawyer saying, "You know what? You probably have a case here."
Right.
It's pathetic that it's like that. I mean, an
example: do not trespass. But if you trespassed and you fell, you could sue the person.
I know.
What?
And there was another thing that happened, and I thought this was shitty. Was this guy broke onto a used car lot, and there were dogs on there. He got bit by the dog. He sued the people because it didn't have a sign that said "Beware of dog." You were trying to steal a car in a car lot, but
I bet you they put the dog down too.
Yeah. Well, this isn't funny, but it's a friend of mine used to work at the theater in Waterbury, a movie theater. There's some Holiday Cinemas now, I think, but or Apple Cinemas.
One?
No, not that one. The other one used to be Holiday Cinemas. Now it's Apple. It's on the other side where the old Waterbury, the Nautical Valley Mall used to be, in that area.
Yep.
But he used to work there late at night and just tallying up the totals and everything. And he had a dog, and the dog kept on sniffing. He's like, "What's going on?" So he opened up the door. There was two guys with masks on. They shot the dog. They tried to shoot him. What happened was he had a gun. He shot one of them. They ran. They later tried to sue, saying because they got shot, even though they admitted that they just got out of jail a couple months prior, and they were for armed robbery, and they admitted they were going in there to rob and kill somebody. So, but he said, even though I'm going to win this case, I still have to waste time taking money off from work. I have to get a lawyer, waste money on that, just to say, all right, you have a right because you have a permit, you have a gun, you can defend yourself. But it's pathetic, things pathetic. Like that happen.
Yeah.
Wow, this place is sweet. Too bad for you guys, there's only 2 chicks.
She takes that camera everywhere with her.
Guys! Somebody's stalking around out there.
I'm sorry.
3 years ago, 3 women disappeared camping. No case was even opened by the police.
Cheesy!
I'd do anything to sleep in the comfort of an air mattress.
I'd watch your back, sweetie. I'd watch it real good.
I need some air. In the middle of the damn woods! Semantics! I really expected you to scream. Oh my.
At least you kept your head on straight.
No! Oh God, no!
Joe has no head.